Welcome to Opening Arguments. This is Vapid Response Wednesday. I'm Thomas, and you'll notice a new face with us today. But first, as always, immigration attorney Matt Cameron. How are you doing, Matt?
Hey, what's up? Excited to talk about a criminal case involving Todd Blanche and Donald Trump. What year is it? In New York City. Doing this again.
Well, in tennis, was it Tallahassee? Was I going to say no? Where were they?
Original case is in New York, at least.
Oh, yeah, that's fair.
So,
fair
of course,
enough, yeah.
because it's New York, we've got Liz Skeen.
Yeah,
hi
Liz
everyone.
Skeen, welcome.
Good
life defense attorney.
Good to be here.
Been too long, and good to be looking at you. We did hours and hours of gavel without seeing each other, and it's nice to have some eye contact.
It's the reunion of the original gavel, and what brings us here today is we sort of called an audible. We preempted the previous episode we had going for Monday because this Ghislaine Maxwell interview thing that we're going to talk about is so batshit. It's so crazy. I'm really glad we have Liz here to analyze this in classic gavel fashion because this is nuts. I have so many questions for you guys, but that's going to be what we're talking about from now until the end of the universe. Like, it's going to take as long as it's going to take. It's 6 hours of audio across 2 days that I went through and fixed up a bit, so it'll sound a little better. But that's our agenda. We're going to take our usual early podcast listener break so we can do an ad, and then we're going to get right back into it. So after this, we'll dig into this interview. All right. And that's all we do. It's just that. There's no real break, Liz. I'm laying in on the magic. Here we go. And we're back now. So Matt, when's my hour that I can complain about the audio? Is that like, do we want to do that first? Or?
So I do want to tell listeners, last night I sent the page to Thomas where DOJ uploaded this ridiculous audio. And I was like, well, this will take 10 minutes to stitch it together and throw it up, right? And what happened? How many 10 minutes did it take?
So first off, I had a thing that I don't know if it was because of the DOJ website or the internet of the house that I was at that time, but the files downloaded incompletely. So that's a separate, that was more a random thing. But that audio, at least in the beginning, is so bad that I couldn't even listen to it. And so I decided I wanted to throw it up on our YouTube channel, and it's 6 hours. I didn't go through every minute, but for each clip, I tried to find a few settings that would improve it. It's incredible to me. Like, you could record that badly, like every different clip they did is like a different bad setup. They're like, let's try, if the first thing they do, I love it, is they'll have a recorder and they'll go, okay, we're right into the recorder as loud as possible, and then they'll throw it out the window and start the interview, and Ghislaine will be like, oh, okay. Well, that was good. Street noise. That street noise from Matt was like right on cue. That wasn't a sound effect that I just hit. Anyway, long story short, I won't really talk for an hour. If you want to listen to a cleaned up version of that, that's at least like a little more audible. I could only do so much to the background noise they had, because if I took out too much of it, you couldn't hear any of her because she's very quiet. But it's better. And I leveled out the parts where whoever starts it will put the mic down like he's doing the endoscopy and talk as loud and blow out the whole thing. You could see it in the file. It'd be like blowing out the thing, and then she's like this little thing after. Anyway, so that's on our YouTube as well, and that's what we're going to be using today. End of audio rant. I'm done. Go ahead.
If you enjoy hearing people lie in the highest possible fidelity, Thomas has got you covered. We have
and I
so many lies.
Wow.
Yeah, I wanted to, Matt, if it's okay, I really wanted to ask both of you this. When they start and when they say it, they say, all right, here's the Ghislaine Maxwell proffer session. And I'm not the lawyer, but I sit there, I'm thinking, like, proffer session. Isn't that where you proffer something? Isn't there something that you're proffering? And what is a proffer session normally? And what is it in this case?
I'm going to let Liz answer that question, but I'm going to remind everybody before we answer that question that Ghislaine Maxwell was already convicted for multiple counts of child sex abuse and child trafficking. So let's just start with that you're not usually proffering after you've been convicted unless you have something new to say. But let's, I'll give the full answer to Liz.
Yes, I would agree with that. So proffer is a meeting that defense attorneys will do with the government. And another name for it, which I wanted to share a little history, is also called a queen for a day.
Queen for a day. I know that.
And if you know the history of the term queen for a day, it's kind of sad and terrible. It comes from a TV show called Queen for a Day, which was a TV show that aired beginning in the 1940s and went on
Oh,
for a number of years after that, where women would come on and tell stories, true stories about how sad their life was and the troubles and the hardships that they were facing. And it
wow.
was a contest to see who had effectively the saddest life. And the woman who told the saddest story, again, these are true stories. I mean, it's completely expletive,
Are you serious?
would win prizes,
I have
like win a
never heard
vacation.
about that. I just thought it was a delightful
Absolutely.
thing where you get to wear a
No.
little costume and be like my daughter Phoebe. She gets like the little like wand thing, and she's
So-
like Queen Phoebe. No, it's not.
It's misery porn is actually what it
It
is.
actually
Wow.
is. Wow.
Wow.
And so I think it's important to understand that in the context of like to have a very cynical approach to this, which is defense attorneys did not name it Queen for a Day. I don't think. It's prosecutors that probably came up with that name. And so you come in to a meeting with your attorneys and you provide prosecutors with relevant background on something that they're investigating. You may be sort of the primary person they're investigating. It may be that you're providing assistance in an investigation. You sign an agreement called a proffer agreement. That proffer agreement has significant caveats to it, but the idea is everything that you say in this meeting cannot be used against you in the prosecution's case in chief in court if this case were to go to trial. So if you did a proffer for a money laundering case, and you explain that your role in this was to somehow facilitate certain bank transfers, but they're really more interested in somebody else, they would not be allowed to use your statements saying that you facilitated the bank transfers, basically statements of guilt, or statements of your complicity in any sort of case in chief with you. You're typically going to be doing proffers in a couple of different circumstances. Again, probably if you're kind of not the target of a federal investigation, but you're someone who's assisting them, and you're going to want to do that in exchange for potentially getting leniency from the federal government. You're also going to want to do them. Sometimes you'll want to do proffers if you kind of want to explain your side of the story and explain, in fact, that like they thought that you were facilitating these bank transfers, but in fact you were not. And it's sort of like a way of, maybe giving potentially like heading off a trial. I've done them in the past, and I've had cases dismissed on the basis of a proffer where my client offered, an appropriate explanation for what had happened and their lack of complicity, that sort of thing. So that's the idea of the proffer.
I will say Ghislaine Maxwell does really want to tell her side of the story, but she's already been convicted, and she already had a trial in which she had the opportunity to testify, and she appropriately took her Fifth Amendment privilege and didn't do that. But this is extra bizarre because I guess I was going to ask, because it seems there are conditions. Yeah.
The proffer seems to be tell us who didn't do anything with you.
Right.
Which is a weird, this got to be unprecedented, right?
How would you like to exonerate yourself? Go ahead and try. Give it a shot.
Well, no, it's tell us that Trump wasn't involved, right? So it's like
Trump.
You never have a Queen for a Day where it's like, all right, you've got immunity. Give us the info. Did the guy we worship do anything wrong? No.
No, this is,
Amazing.
I mean, everything about this is not everything, but almost everything about this is totally unorthodox.
That's why I really wanted to make sure we took time with this, because this is one of those moments where you have to stop and just say, this is like Soviet Russia levels of just insanity.
Crazy.
Because people are like, the media is reporting this like, oh, there's a Ghislaine Maxwell interview. This new interview has been released, right? They
Like
didn't just go down and
No.
right. Yeah. It's just like a hangout, right?
Which, to be fair, they might have done that.
And as you said, they basically put a cell phone in a jacket pocket, apparently, and recorded this interview.
I mean, I'm not aware of any circumstances where DOJ has released recording publicly of a proffer.
That's another component of it.
Yes,
okay, so I didn't know that.
Insane.
Like,
that's the part that blew me away. Yeah.
Okay.
But let alone, so let's just play this out for a minute. There is a scenario in which after you've been convicted, it is possible that you might want to knock some years off your sentence. Maybe you come out, maybe like they find a guy who was part of your conspiracy. You've got a bunch of information on that guy. Maybe he was in South America.
Kilmar, was it? No, who was the one that they were setting up? And you said they had the guys. Is that, so it's like that where they're like, hey, Queen for a Day, if you, well, once again, the same fascists.
Same
give
DOJ
us say someone that we don't like is guilty.
That's right.
Okay. Wow.
And you saw him with some kids, right? Oh yeah, I saw him with some kids. Otherwise, you're going to CCOT, right? But in this case, she has been angling for a pardon for some time, and we'll talk at the end about how likely this all is. I mean, it seems pretty likely, but I mean, again, I just wanted to
because I noted, I believe I noted every time she kissed Trump's ass, and I think I have the times. I'm sure you do too. It is, boy, it's transparent. We'll just say.
I mean, there is, first of all, nothing new that we learned from this, except,
No.
yeah, there's nothing. Like, and again,
Well, I
I wasn't.
learned that she was totally innocent. She barely
Oh,
knew
that's
Epstein
true. That is something
and
new.
was like, yeah, I guess I've seen him a few times and like got, did he get him? It was really like, honestly, I don't know that much about her case in specific. And I'll say my impression is not a lawyer, not familiar with the case. Like she's very confidently lying about a lot of things, I guess, or
Yeah,
I'll say
she is.
she believes what she's saying for most of it, but you could tell about halfway through where she started like, I just felt like, oh, I don't really think she believes these parts, but like, I feel like she's really convinced of her own innocence in this and was very convincing to me personally in terms of her, like just going based on like, would I think this person's telling the truth? Like I thought she was pretty convincing in the first 3 hours or so.
I think it's, this is funny. It's like the Nixon Kennedy debate thing where people watch or listen to
Yeah.
it. I read the transcripts and I found the transcripts to be absolutely full of shit. But you listen to somebody who sounds like Dame Judi Dench, who has an Oxford degree, right?
I was going to
Well,
say, same. I also read the transcripts and I was
But
like,
she sounds so
I
smart.
want to emphasize, I don't know anything about her case. So it's like, if you
sure.
just have
Yeah.
someone saying I'd
Right.
argue that it's hard to read a transcript and not like, I'm going based on how she sounded and how she's,
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
yeah. And
Yeah,
like,
you
it
got the
sounds like she
impression-
believes herself.
She's very
in those-
confident. No, yeah. And but she
Mhm.
also sounds exactly what she is, which is an Oxford educated socialite who grew up with enormous amounts of money, with a father who was connected to multiple intelligence agencies, who ran one of the greatest tabloids in British history.
right.
She has quite a colorful story. But yeah, we need to talk about what she was actually convicted of before we get into this, because I want to make it very clear. We're not going to sit here and debunk what she's saying. It's not worth it. I mean, the victims testified at her trial. We
Right.
believe them. We don't believe her. Clearly, there was a very long, engaged, decades-long conspiracy to traffic girls. We all know what happened with Jeffrey Epstein. And yes, he should have been tried for it too. And he's not with us, and she was tried for it. But she is denying everything in this, which should immediately off the bat just tell you that nothing else she has to say is credible if she's, but yeah, Liz, I know you had some background on the trial. But let's talk very quickly about what the charges actually were and what the basic evidence and facts were in this trial, if you got that.
Sure. I mean, so she was prosecuted in the Southern District of New York.
The Mother Court.
Pardon?
The Mother Court.
Yeah.
always call it
which,
on the show.
which we've really never heard from at all on this show, and they don't really do very much. That was unusual. No. She was prosecuted in the Southern District of New York. And basically for, among other things, a series of charges related to sex trafficking of minors. They identified a number of different overt acts. So she's charged with various kind of conspiracy to transport minors for sexual activity, conspiracy to like entice minors into sexual activities, transportation of them, those sorts of charges. And then the last set of charges that she was charged with were also perjury charges. So actually, let me pause on those for a second. And so, the sum of sort of the evidence against her were, the prosecution called numerous victims, stating that she had sort of assisted in more or less the grooming process, that she'd sort of, I think, used herself, I think they would say, as a woman to connect with some of these girls, to invite them to travel. I think, one of the ways that she normalized, telling parents that these children would be traveling with Epstein was, her as a woman, and using kind of that status. And she also at one point apparently undressed in front of a woman, one of the underage victims, discussed sexual topics with them. So and they called a number of victims who testified, by all accounts, quite credibly. And she was convicted of all of these sort of conspiracy to
It is funny
sex
because
traffic
I'm in the
minors
upside
charges.
down world of not being familiar with those facts. I knew, like, broadly speaking, but like to hear her tell it that she was around a few times. She's never with anyone that was a child. Maybe there was somebody who looked older, but she didn't know. Like that's what she said.
And
like maybe
she was shocked to find out that these
Yeah,
charges were
yeah.
coming for
There's,
both Epstein and her. She was
gambling going on in this
absolutely
establishment
That's
or
right.
whatever.
Shocked. Yeah, no, I mean, and she
Yeah,
spent so
wow.
much time with him, and she was like early on kind of his girlfriend, compatriot, partner, kind of a bestie, platonic best friend by the end of it, I guess. But she was also receiving, as we're going to talk about, enormous amounts of money for dot dot dot. She doesn't even really convincingly explain for what for. We'll have some fun with that. But she's had a lot of time to think about this, and she still doesn't have, I don't think, a very convincing explanation for any of it. But I just want to point out that we are not going to be getting into the stuff where she's talking about her explanation of why the victims are lying. We're not going to talk about her conspiracy theories about why she was framed. None of that is credible. None of it makes any sense. Honestly, it's a disgrace to the victims to even play into those recordings. The people who were brave enough to testify against her. And I think, and there's some really compelling testimony, and there's absolutely no reason anybody would make this up. So she's going for full innocence. And she's
I would just say
that,
in her statements it's sort of like, oh, I didn't, I mean, we don't need to play them, but it's exactly what you would think. They're like, oh, I didn't know, I wasn't aware. I mean, she doesn't, it's nothing. It's not like she doesn't have a defense that, is an alibi based defense. She's also not responding to, as far as I can see, any specific allegations, right? They're not sort of asking her, when this person testified that you did X, Y, and Z, were you not present? They're not, she's sort of responding in kind of broad terms.
Yeah, because I wanted to say, I realized partway through, again, that not the lawyer of the three, I was like, oh, wait a minute. If this was like a real actual thing, you'd have a prosecutor who was like really keen on like making sure this isn't bullshit, on proving her wrong, whatever.
Yeah.
And I made the joke, but like, Blanche is the daily. He's just like, oh, okay, yeah, yeah, sure, okay. And so, and it's that. So like, I lamented that, if we were going to listen to this for any reason, apart from the fascism that it's about, it's like, I wish I could hear someone actually grill her, like in all these denials.
Yes.
But
no,
that didn't happen at all.
Just a reminder, because I guess just to catch everybody up, the three of us have spent many, many hours on a little show called Gavel Gavel covering the entire Trump trial. So we're all very familiar with Todd Blanche as Trump's defense attorney.
It's in the Patreon behind the paywall iteration of Gavel Gavel from last year to whatever.
But
I don't know.
Honestly, very proud of it, and I think it's some of our best work. And I'd love to have everybody check it out. But that just going through that trial was an incredible exercise in getting to know. And of course, at the time, in these halcyon days of 2024, Todd Blanche was an interesting figure. We never thought we'd have to think about him again. And now he is the deputy of the Department of Justice. He is the second in command. And he is also still Trump's defense attorney. He actually entered his appearance on one of those motions to unseal as Trump's defense attorney accidentally. Did you see that on Pacer?
Recently?
Yeah. Within the last few months when they're doing that ridiculous stuff about trying to unseal the grand jury stuff, which they don't obviously have any right to, and they didn't. That was all denied.
I remember when we weren't familiar, I wasn't familiar with these characters. There's one thing that I want to issue like a public apology. My one of my actor friends who I had play, who's the other guy?
Emile
Beauvais. Emile Beauvais. Emile Beauvais came across in the text to me as like kind of the harder worker, more into it thing, and Blanche was like the more showy guy. And now we've come to like learn who and that might kind of have been true. But now that we learn who Beauvais actually was, I so regret my casting choices in who we had read for Beauvais, because he is just evil. Like that guy is just fucking evil. And I'm thinking about my nice, kind friend who I had play it. And I'm like, I just regret that happened.
That's funny. So I will point out, though, that all the way through, and we're going to listen to this pretty soon, but all the way through, he is essentially acting as Trump's defense attorney, not as a prosecutor. An actual prosecutor would show up, would realize that his time is being wasted, and would cut the thing off after 15 minutes when he realizes that all she's trying to do is excuse herself.
And that's so funny, too, because I was listening to this as a podcaster. I was like, okay, Todd Blanche, for your podcast, I could sense that he was like, I don't know what this episode's about. Like, I don't know. I don't know what we're doing. Like, he knows that he wants to clear Trump and get was Bill Clinton involved? Like, get some Democrat. But like a lot of times he's like, because what's he gonna do? There's no benefit to him personally in his agenda to grilling her on anything.
Yeah, pushing back.
There's only a benefit, to try to like get her to say something that's useful for Trump, and that's it. There's no other purpose to be there.
Yeah. And that's why the last thing I would just say, the thing that I noted about this, and in my experience with proffers, especially, I mean, and when you're conducting investigation, and this was a case where the conduct that she's alleged to have done, like, the conduct, the indictment, it basically runs from 1994 to 2004. It's like over 20 years. She knows this person for many more years. You're really specific with dates and sort of when, and they do a little bit of this, but you're sort of beyond like the first I don't know. Again, I read it on the pages, but beyond like the first kind of bit of it, they're not very specific about dates. When you met this person, again, this is not an investigatory interview. It's not what an investigatory interview looks like. It's not. Also, you would typically come prepared for a proffer. The prosecution is going to come prepared with documents. Is going to come prepared with photos. They're going to show you certain things. Like
Yeah.
that's like
Toward the end, he
kinda-
says, "I just found out I was doing this like today." Like Blanche actually says that somewhere where he's like,
Yeah.
"Yeah, I don't know. I don't have anything prepped."
Yeah, no,
He's like me doing a podcast. No,
I mean, he
it's fair. You can say it.
he's doing a podcast.
Yeah.
And it's really, I don't know, I would say it's sort of shocking. I guess the other thing I would just note before we get started, I don't know if you guys have how much you guys have talked about this on OA, but Ghislaine Maxwell, her attorney is this individual named David Marcus. She is a phenomenal attorney. And who I have encountered professionally, and is a wonderful person, is like a defense lawyer's defense lawyer, and has been helpful to me once or twice when I had a related question from him. He has his own podcast. He has actually interviewed Todd Blanche on his podcast.
Yes,
Yeah,
we featured some of
did
that.
cover that.
Yeah.
So they're friends.
I wouldn't know. I don't think so. I don't
What
think
did they
that's
say
fair.
on the podcast?
On the
What did he
podcast.
say on the podcast?
Todd Blanche did say, "I consider you a great friend." Yeah,
Yeah.
I
I
think
think he's being nice, but
I think he's
Sure.
being nice. He interviews everyone. He's very
Yeah.
and I don't know. I have a great deal of respect for David Marcus, but I would just say it is notable to see where he jumps in on the page here, which is
Mhm.
oftentimes to redirect Maxwell, right?
Yes.
When Maxwell's kind of going off a little off script, or maybe talking about stuff a bit fanciful. Some of the times when she's just making excuses, or to say, and there weren't underage people there, right? And obviously he's prepped her well because he's a good attorney, and that's what he does and what he did.
Yeah, and Blanche was a prosecutor for many years. Like, he's supposed to know how to do this, but again, this is not a normal
Well,
proffer session. I
Matt,
just wanna
know
point
how
out,
to
but-
do what?
Right.
Yeah,
What
right,
is the
exactly. There's
thing
nothing to do.
he's
You're
doing?
right, you're
Yeah,
right.
it's
Right.
like I
Right.
don't really blame him. I mean, I do, but like
Yeah.
He shouldn't be
I
there.
guess in the moment, I'm saying like in the
Right.
moment of that recording or whatever, like I don't know what else he's gonna do. Like I really don't.
I think that he did the best job with the completely bizarre task that he had, which was sort of have an interview with someone and encourage them to exonerate Trump.
It's insane. It's really
I
truly.
guess.
Because I even just calling it, and they have to call it a proffer session because they have
Yeah.
to call it something. Like, they can't just say, "Here's an interview," right, and release it. But there
They
is
could say
nothing.
recording live from the Tallahassee Correctional.
Really?
I mean,
Yeah.
they have to call it proffer because there's no way David Marcus would have negotiated any sort of agreement. I mean, would have let her just meet with DOJ
Yeah.
with no agreement
Without
in place.
immunity.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Because she has immunity here. And of course, there is no statute of limitations for federal child sex
So
crimes.
there's no legal
So-
proceeding by which prosecutors can just be like, "Hey, we just want to like chat with a criminal, not for
Just
any
hang out.
reason, but like that we'll give them immunity because we want to hear more about like how crimes go or something." Like there's no, that's not
Well,
a
I
thing that
could-
happens.
Okay, I could imagine a situation where I'm just trying to play out situations where somebody's been convicted and would be in this situation. Like, for example, if you knew where some bodies were buried, like literally knew, like if you'd killed a bunch of people and the victims really want closure and the families just want to know where the bodies are, and you're already serving multiple life sentences, but like just to avoid getting prosecuted again, you could still have immunity. You could give up where the bodies are, something like that. And I really thought there'd be like one body in here, not an actual body, but like something big. There'd be like one revelation. And we all thought maybe that she'd implicate Clinton or somebody else, right? That they don't like. But she actually
No,
exculpates Clinton.
Yeah, it's
spoiler.
really interesting. It's
Yeah.
really interesting. I can't wait to talk about that because
Yeah.
you can sense that she has a fondness for him, and like
Yes.
it really
Yes.
came through that like, oh yeah, that's her friend,
Yeah.
like she's friendly with and worked with, and she's not gonna talk shit on him, which is interesting because you can tell from again, I listed all 6 hours of this shit. You can tell the times where she's like, and President Trump, I just he's so amazing. I love him so much. Like, he
that's
does the
so.
little kiss ass routine, but
Right.
she's
It's
not
so amazing
willing-
that he became president. Like,
Yeah, it is.
Admire him.
I so admire.
She's
that man.
not willing to throw Clinton under the bus for him though.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
that's kind of interesting. I don't know what her incentives are. So like, I guess a question I would ask you two is, they start off the thing. Blanche says like, "Hey, if you lie, it's a crime. Lie to us, it's a crime."
Right.
But like, what's the cost to her? Like, what's the worst thing that can happen? First off, how long is she serving? Sorry if you already said that, but I forgot.
20 years.
Okay,
20 years
so
and
it's pretty sizable.
$750,000 fine. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like I guess theoretically she could risk more time, but like, is there? I mean, Do you think there's a reason beyond the friendship that she would not want to throw Clinton under the bus to try to save herself? Is it just that it would be, if it's verifiably false, she could be prosecuted? But like the people who are going to prosecute her want her to do this, right? So
yeah, they would
I don't
love
know.
it. Yeah, I was
Do you
surprised.
think? What do you think about the Clinton
she's
question?
in a very perilous situation. I just, I don't think there's, I think what she wants to do is sort of keep it light, keep it tight, exonerate Trump, and that's how she gets out of this.
But why? Sorry, why do you think she's in a perilous situation? Because I felt like there's no downside to her really, because like the whole like, oh, if you lie to us we could prosecute you, but they're not going, like they're, if assuming in the world in which we know this is a transaction whereby she gives Trump something, Trump gives her a pardon or something, there, I don't understand why, if she gave them what they wanted, why would she be prosecuted? Is it that some down, like if next administration or something, like why would, what is her worry?
Well, there's no statute of limitations on child sex crimes for federal. So, I mean, she does need to be a little careful.
But that's, we're talking about like her giving up Clinton, or
sure,
pointing to Clinton as somebody.
I mean, how did she know that Clinton engaged in these things? Was it just because she facilitated them? Okay, so she's saying now that she facilitated child sex crimes, and she's aware of child sex crimes, and she's, I mean, it's like the whole roof collapses.
Exactly.
Okay,
because she's saying she's never seen anybody do anything inappropriate.
That's fair. And actually, I have in my notes, I love that. Call me crazy. Did she say she doesn't believe he killed himself?
Yes.
Or she
does say that.
She said, but then she says she has a theory, we'll get to it, about how someone might have killed him, but for what? Like in her worldview, there's nothing's wrong. Like nobody did anything. Nobody. And honestly, when it comes to the stuff that's like the blackmail and the intelligence asset and all that stuff, like she might be telling the truth there. She might be telling the truth that like, actually, this is what people are saying it is. And it's mainly just she trafficked people. She trafficked, children for him. And he doesn't have like a burn book, blackmail, whatever. That might be true. And it's funny that then she's like, well, he might have killed him. He might not have killed himself. Who would it, for what reason would anyone want to then in her worldview? Is that purely because that serves Trump's interest to kind of, because he also said like, well, I don't know if he killed himself. So she's going to just echo that.
There's like a MAGA checklist going on here that we should talk about it once we play the clips. Yeah,
sure,
but there's definitely there's a list of stuff that
we haven't gotten to the clips yet.
Yeah. Let's start with at the beginning. So we're going to hear something that really the public never gets to hear. I've never heard this before. We're hearing an actual beginning. I mean, it's not an actual thing, but it is supposed to be a proffer session. So we're hearing what it sounds like at the beginning of a proffer session. So let's play it, because
I've heard
that's
it 4 dozen times, but
rare
let's hear it
opportunity.
again.
Yeah. Okay.
Today's date is Thursday, July 24th. This will be the recording of a proffer agreement of
I can't tell you how
Ghislaine
loud this was.
Maxwell from the Deputy Attorney General, DOJ, and the time is currently 9:16. Maxwell and counsel are arriving to the U.S. Attorney's Office, and we will commence the proffer shortly.
Please turn on the noise machine.
I'm going to ask everybody to put the name on the record, of course. All right.
Good morning. My name is Assistant Special Agent in Charge Spencer Horn of FBI New York. Today we're doing a proffer of Ms. Maxwell. The date is July 24th, and the time is 10:12 a.m. This interview is being recorded.
And my name is Todd Blanche. I'm the Deputy Attorney General. And before we start formally asking questions of Ms. Maxwell, I'm going to put on the record everybody that's in this room in addition to me. Starting with you, Diego.
Diego Pistona, Associate Deputy Attorney General.
And then you heard from Special Agent in Charge Horn. Mark Beard from the United States Marshal Service is here as well. And then David?
Yes, this is David Oscar Marcus, and I'm counsel for Ghislaine Maxwell.
My name is Leah Safian, and I'm counsel for Ghislaine Maxwell.
My name is Melissa Madrigal, and I'm counsel for Ghislaine Maxwell.
Go ahead.
And I'm Ghislaine Maxwell.
Good morning, Ms. Maxwell. How are you?
Good morning, Mr. Blanche.
Good. Okay, so before we started recording, we met for a few minutes. I introduced myself and we chatted, and now I told you that we were going on the record. And before we start asking questions, I know that you've been given by your lawyer a copy of what's called a proffer agreement. And I just want to spend 2 minutes making sure that you understand what governs our conversation today. The most important part of this agreement is that this isn't a cooperation agreement, meaning that by you meeting with us today, we're really just meeting. I'm not promising to do anything. I'm not promising to ask Judge Nathan or any of the judges that's been assigned to your case to do anything. We're just talking. And so that's the most important part of this agreement. However, almost as important is the fact that what this agreement does for you is it gives you protection. So what it means is that the government cannot use what you say today against you, with some exceptions, which we'll talk about in a minute. But whatever you talk about today, you have what's called immunity. So that means that the words that you say today, we cannot use against you in a case in chief if we were ever to bring one. Okay?
Thank you.
There's exceptions to that. The most meaningful one of which is that if you say something today that's not true, that's a lie, we can bring a prosecution against you for what's called false statements. So I'm a federal officer. I have several officers here. The FBI is here, and if you lie to someone that's like me or like Special Agent Horn, it's a crime. So you have to be truthful. The other exception to this that doesn't necessarily apply directly to you, but if there ever was a retrial in your case, or if there ever was a criminal case, a future criminal case against you, and your lawyer or you said something different or took a position that's different than what you say today, we can then cross-examine you or a witness based upon what you say today. So it's a little bit nuanced, meaning I can't use what you say against you in our case in chief. However, if you were to testify, or if your lawyer called a witness to testify and they said something that is totally different than what you say today, we could then cross-examine you or the witness and say, hey, do you remember when we met with Miss Maxwell back in July of 2025? She told us, and then say what she said. Okay?
I understand.
Okay. Other than that, I know you didn't have a lot of time this morning to meet with Mr. Marcus, but did you have a chance to go over this briefly with him?
I did.
Okay. All right. So I've already signed it, as has Special Agent Horn,
Okay.
and Mr. Marcus signed it as well. So you got a pen? Please sign it right where it says
Okay.
clients. Yep. And I will provide a
You'll let me
copy
know
of
when
this
we're stopping.
to your lawyers, so you
Thank
guys
you.
have it.
Almost.
Okay. Thank you. So, Ms. Maxwell, about a week and a half ago or 2 weeks ago,
You see the light blinking on there? On the Sony.
That's the noise machine we have on for some reason.
Yeah.
God, I
okay,
quieted
just
this as
confirming
much
it
as I
works, and
could.
it does. Ms. Maxwell, I guess about a week and a half or 2 weeks ago, Mr. Marcus reached out to me and said that you wanted to speak with somebody from the government about not only your case, but about everything that's been in the media and that's been publicized about Mr. Epstein in your case.
That is true, and I did speak to him, and I did ask him did tell him that I was very keen to talk to anyone, because no one from the government at any time ever since the inception of the case, so dating back to the early 2000s, has ever spoken to me, and indeed I believe ever reached out to me at any time to even speak to me, and that includes up to when I was indicted and prosecuted. I believe that, or I understand, I should say rather, that my attorneys at the time did tell the government that I wanted to speak to them, because I was very keen to meet with anyone so that I could tell or have them ask me any question. I've never had any problem to speak to anybody, and I offered myself. And I kept asking if they would meet with me so that I could talk to them, and for whatever reason, that was not happening.
Okay. No, that's more. That was the way I wanted to stop it. So this is. I
have a lot to say.
So this is so full of shit. This whole thing.
I mean, there's just so much to say, but just from the last bit that she said that, my attorneys said that they tried to reach out to the government for me to tell my side of the story. To the extent what she is saying is true, that her attorneys, the government probably said, it would be a total waste of our time. Like, you also don't reach out to have a proffer for no reason. Like, you have an end goal with it. The end goal being a potential, there are no promises made. They're not cooperation agreements, right? Again, the contest is to get the prize, which is the agreement, right? The Queen for a Day contest. But you would reach out and say, Ms. Maxwell wants to speak. Is it possible? Do you think that some sort of cooperation agreement would be, available? She's able to, if there was anything meaningful for her to have a proffer about, any meaningful end, her attorneys would have scheduled that and the government would have met with her. It's just an absurd statement.
And even stepping back from that, the idea that they would have just sort of, while they're investigating Jeffrey Epstein, they would have contacted her. She's, at this point, she's already perjured herself in a civil case, right? They know that she's a perjurer. They're going to charge her with perjury. She lied up front. One of the first major lies she told was saying she didn't know anything about any of these girls ever. She just said that basically on the record in a deposition, a civil case. That's what got her charged with perjury. And the charges that ended up, that part was dropped for technical reasons, really, not even for
I want to push back on that. It was not dropped for technical reasons.
No, it was
and I just want to be careful. She was not convicted of perjury.
No, I'm saying she wasn't. No, she wasn't.
She was not. And I just say, I know, but that's that.
But that could have been. I'm just saying
perjury.
She's not a good witness. I'm just saying in terms of if they wanted to call her, if they wanted to try to flip her, and if they maybe they could have tried to flip her, but.
The perjury charges came with in terms of order of operations, right? They were investigating Jeffrey Epstein back in,
Oh, I know.
2006. So that was well before. Again, I doubt that she was not contacted. Maybe she wasn't. But in any case, it doesn't really matter. It's sort of just a little bit silly to do that.
It is.
I guess the two other things I would note also, just if you want to go back a little bit, is, in terms of things that are standard that are happening, very standard at the beginning of any proffer for the prosecutor to go over the proffer agreement, say these are the sort of understandings of the agreement. And you're going to want to do that because it's sort of, it's a little bit CYA. You want to make sure that the person understands this. So there can't be any sort of disagreement down the line if you do end up using the statements against them. And I would note one of the exceptions that we talked about a lot when we were doing gavel, or we talked about this issue or this thing, which is impeachment. So he didn't use the term impeachment, but there's an exception in the proffer agreement for impeachment purposes. So that is to say, if you are testifying in some future proceeding and you say something that is different from the proffer, they can then use the statements that you made in the proffer to impeach you, saying, you met with DOJ on this date and the individuals you met with included, your attorney, David Marcus, was present, the deputy AG was present, and, you said these things and so on. So anyway, just wanted to note both those.
Yeah, for sure. Man, we have so much to get through. So are you saying... So this struck me as, again, if I'm John Q. Public listening to this, even though I know how many people actually will, but I'm hearing that and I think it sounds like the intent there is to play into the conspiracy theories about the Biden administration and how they could have followed up with her and they could have done more to uncover this Epstein stuff, but no one ever did. And now, or is it just this is her self-serving thing where she's such a narcissist? She thinks, hey, why didn't the government ask me what I thought about things?
It was Trump who prosecuted her. So, the Trump administration that prosecuted her originally.
Right.
So, I know what you're saying, but right. No, exactly. But I want to point out
both.
Yeah, sure.
Well, she does make a point to say at no time since, she
right.
I think it seems to me, my guess was that this was calculated to kind of play into that and say, give Trump the ability to now say, look, no one ever talked to her before, and now I am, and here's the truth.
Well, let's look at the reason, and we don't have to replay it. I'll just read it very quickly. The reason that we're supposed to be here, according to Todd Blanche, like a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago, Mr. Marcus reached out to me and said that you wanted to speak with somebody from the government about not only your case, but about everything that's been in the media. You just want to hang out and talk. That's the proffer.
Is
I want to talk to somebody.
Yeah.
No, that's just like, and everybody, again, I've worked with I do a lot of post-conviction work. I've worked with a lot of people who've been convicted of crimes. They all want to tell their side of the story.
I'm sure, there's got to be so so many. I
And-
mean, the Supreme Court allows the death penalty of several people per year, I think, that would love a chance to talk about anything to anyone.
And typically people whose lawyers told them under no circumstances are you going to testify at trial. It would be a very bad idea, including here would be a terrible idea because she still told them some different versions of this. But I mean, again, the idea that you just get to reach out. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, I mean, and also just, I mean, and if you do, you know, if you reached out for someone in connection with a post-conviction proceeding, they would say, "Oh, okay, sure. What do they have to say? What names are they going to give up?
Yeah,
Can they give us additional information on who facilitated this scheme? Can they you don't just you don't do like a hangout."
No,
it's crazy.
And we again, I will point out we don't have the immunity agreement
with
so we
Todd
don't even know
Blanche.
Yeah, right. Just because you want to. We don't. So I'd love to see the emails. And again, I know that David Marcus is doing his job. He did a great job, from what I can tell. He's pulled a miracle for his client. But the exchange, because there's clearly an outline, there's an order of events that they are working through here. I mean, to the point that when we get to the Trump part, it really feels like she's just reading off like the pardon script note card. Like it really feels like it's that scripted. But I'm not saying it's completely scripted. I'm just saying that they're definitely subjects they agreed they were going to talk about. And that they hit. So let's get to one of those. We need to keep going here. Very briefly. So I want to mention a very quick callback to our vapid response a couple of weeks ago. Actually, it was the very first one. The vapid response that we did, the very first one, was actually just about the day of this interview. This was recorded July 24th and 25th. I think that's when we did the, somewhere around there, we did the first vapid response. And in that vapid response, we took a look at Alan Dershowitz's explanation of why there's nothing to see here in the Jeffrey Epstein case, and there never will be. And there are a lot of interesting coincidences in the exact things that Alan Dershowitz says in his column that come out here. And one of them is about Robert Maxwell, who, of course, was, as I mentioned, very famous British tabloid journalist and intelligence dude of some kind connected to both Israel and UK and probably American. I don't know. He's a man of mystery. But I just wanted to play very quickly the part at 1522 where they mentioned the relationship with Epstein and Robert Maxwell, just to establish there wasn't a relationship, because this is something that Dershowitz went out of his way in his very short Wall Street Journal column to mention, because it's part of the questions here. How did Ghislaine Maxwell know so many people, right? She was a wealthy socialite. She was related to Robert Maxwell, who a lot of people knew. But by the time that she got to the U.S., she was in disgrace. The family was in disgrace. They were allegedly basically like in Arrested Development, like, you know.
Oh, is that? I actually don't know that story. And we probably don't have time to get into it. But
no,
is that okay? One sentence. What happened? Why are they in disgrace? What? Because that's predates all the Epstein stuff, right? Or
I'm going to double check while you're playing this. I want to get it right. Okay, I don't want to.
Okay. Well,
he did some stuff. Yeah, let's play 1522.
Okay. All right, we'll see.
Of anything specifically that he did in that thing, but if you're asking me if I thought that he did help people, the answer would be yes, I do.
Did your father and Mr. Epstein have a business relationship over the years? I know we're maybe jumping around a little bit tonight.
They never met.
Yes, you are.
So,
as far as you know, they never even met.
No,
you know they never met.
I know they never met.
Okay, well, how do you know they never met?
Thank you. Just categorically, no, they never met. Well, because after, in 1991, before my father died, he asked me if I'd met anybody interesting or whatever, you know, because I was still trying not to be sucked back into the family business. And I told him that I had met Mr. Epstein, and the reason why I shared that I'd met Mr. Epstein because I believed at that time that Epstein worked for Bear Stearns, and Bear Stearns was one of our banks. And I knew that my father was friendly with both Jimmy Kane and with Ace Greenberg. So my dad was actually in New York, I think. I don't think I had this conversation on the phone, but I honestly, we're talking 30 years ago, so I'm not sure. But maybe I told him this verbatim because I know that what my dad did, whether I saw it or whether he did it and told me later, I don't remember. But he called both Jimmy Kane and Ace Greenberg to ask what sort of guy he was and was he even allowed to, because
they never met.
He didn't even know
but
who
they
he was.
had they knew some of the same people, it sounds like, or certainly the Bear Stearns connection was something that you knew that they had.
No, well, he never had a connection with Epstein. He had a connection with the bank. I mean, Epstein, I'd never heard of him or knew of him before, and I certainly, if my dad had known him, right, when I said this is who he was, he didn't know who he was. So he rang Ace and he rang Jimmy to ask if it was okay that I even knew him. And I just want to explain briefly why my father would even do such a thing.
Okay, that's enough. I just wanted to play that very quickly because Robert Maxwell was working for Mossad, almost certainly. That's, again, we don't have time to go into how all of that worked or why, but the reason that Alan Dershowitz brought this up and that a lot of people have been talking about this is, and Maxwell did, I should point out, died under very mysterious circumstances, drowned from his yacht named Lady Ghislaine, killed by the ocean, a cause that she would later take up herself, kind of a strange Oedipal thing. But Ace Greenberg was the head of Bear Stearns. Epstein did at some point do work for Bear Stearns, but of course, just to remind everybody, Epstein got his start working for Leslie Wexner, the Victoria's Secret billionaire, doing his money for some reason after teaching at Dalton High School with only basic financial experience and some math knowledge. A lot of weird, murky stuff in his background that he just kind of appeared out of nowhere, started managing millions and millions of dollars. So there's just a lot of questions about how he was elevated to that point. I'm not going to answer those questions today. We're not going to answer them. I just wanted to play
I don't know if
things.
anyone's going to answer them.
No, I think we might never
part
know.
of the real mystery, right?
Of all of this, right? Is how, who this guy actually was and what he was getting up to. But let's get into, unless there's anything else on that, I just wanted to flag that for the moment because it's going to come up again.
Yeah, I mean, I found her kind of believable on that specific part where it's like, well, he's finding money for people. He's like, it sounded like she was alluding. I don't know if you're going to talk about that, but when they talk about what did Epstein do for his money, she's like, well, he would find money that was stolen. So, for example, and for some reason, the first example she calls up is like,
Chapo.
Let's say the cartel, let's say El Chapo's missing some money that he can't, something. And the guy, and she's like, "This is not. I'm just thinking, just whatever." First
don't even
thing,
know why that popped in my head.
I just something like that. It's like cartel based, like finding money for. So I felt like that was interesting in that I could believe that, and it also sounded like I don't know. By all accounts, it sounds like he was good with money, and I don't know how much I buy into the whole like, there's no way he could have made all his money doing like I don't know how much I buy into that because there are people who also did go to him for tax help and like are they very wealthy people tried to that kind of stuff. So I wouldn't be surprised if it's like he was good at helping rich people keep more of their money from the government and maybe helping cartels find money that they're, who knows?
Right.
That is one of the ways he made his money. Yes.
I don't really buy the
that.
blackmail stuff, but that's my own because I just feel like normally you wouldn't, in terms of blackmail, like you're not going to want to be this sort of like flashy person that's like constantly having events. I don't know. Like I feel like you wouldn't like if you were just constantly blackmailing everyone who came to your house. I feel like people would stop coming. I don't know. That's my theory.
I don't really believe that.
I don't totally buy the blackmail. Maybe that happened in like one or two instances, but I just don't buy it as like a general
Maybe
rule. As that's like how he has his money.
More softly to get something or to get who knows, but not like
I have sort of a more meta theory about this that we'll probably get to as we play through the clips here. But we should get to what she calls full disclosure, which
we're 17 minutes into a 6-hour thing, so we're on our way here.
We're getting there. We're actually, just for everybody's understanding, we're not going to be talking about most of day 2 of this because day 2 I think is just not that helpful. We're mostly talking about day 1. We're not going to be going through the whole thing, obviously, but I picked out some clips that I think are representative. As I said, we're going to try really hard not to like let her blather too much, but so let's go to 1958.
Can I just preview that full
please.
Disclosure involves more than anyone ever wanted to know about their situationship?
Yes. It is somewhat relevant, but yes.
It is relevant, but it's also
Yeah, I'm like, why am I reading this in a proffer session? What is the crime that we're talking about here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
35-year time period or whatever, but to the extent you can kind of at a very high level talk about it.
Listen, I think just full disclosure is the best way to go at this point.
Sure.
So in 1992, I slept with him one time. And I was like, whoa, that's it. We're going to be dating. Because that's how I thought. And I kind of thought of myself in that moment, like, because I felt if you slept with someone that you were then dating them.
Yeah.
Well, welcome to New York, Ms. Maxwell.
But that really was, that's how I thought. And but we didn't sleep together again for, I don't know, really a significant period of time. And when I say
years or
I don't know if it was a year. That feels long, but maybe 9 months. I mean, a long time. I just want to go back. So I had found a house for him to rent in New York because he had asked me. I'd been looking one for my father, and I found one, which was a former Iranian embassy. I think it was. I think it belonged to the Iranians or the Iraqis, someone.
Okay.
And I didn't know that he had any money really, and it was like, I want to say it was $12,000 a month, which to me seemed like a fortune. And I said to myself, I found this house, but I don't think you can afford it. And he was like, ridiculous. Of course I can afford it. And he rented it. And that house came with, it was a State Department house because it was, I think that was under sequestration or whatever it was. And I put it back together, but there were certain rules you couldn't paint because it had to go back when you gave it back to the country. So he had this house, and I had moved into a 10-foot by 10-foot apartment because all of our stuff had been either lost or frozen or whatever. So he became, in this moment, my lifeline, really, because I was like, everything was, it felt very similar to this moment, if that makes any sense. Anyway, so, but I had no key to his house. I had no free access to his house. And in the entire time that he lived there, which was, I believe, until the beginning of 1996, I never slept a single night in that house with him, ever, not one.
But you said a minute ago that that you had slept with him on one occasion, and at the time you remember thinking, that this meant you were in a relationship, but then it didn't. You really were not in that type of relationship.
Well, I thought
did that
so
change over between 91 and 92 or whatever, and years forward?
So I did travel with him a lot.
Okay.
So I would go to his houses in Palm Beach. He only had that house actually no, that's not true. He had the house in Palm Beach, and he had a house in Ohio.
In where?
Ohio.
Okay.
And he had the house in Ohio because of his business relationship with Mr. Wexner. And he had and I had to go and decorate and put that house together. When we traveled together, we stayed in the same bed, but not in but I didn't.
Go ahead, it's okay. Talk. So you stayed. So when you would travel with him to his houses in Palm Beach, Ohio, or even just traveling, if it was just traveling with him, you would stay in the same bed, so sleep in the same bed with him.
Yes.
Okay.
Epstein told me that he had a heart condition.
A what?
Heart condition.
Heart condition. Okay.
Which meant that he didn't have intercourse a lot, which suited me fine, because I actually do have a medical condition, which precludes me having a lot of intercourse.
So what was your understanding of his heart condition and why that prevented him from having intercourse regularly?
I don't know. I mean, he
Matt, why are you subjecting us to
other
this?
forms of sexual activity.
Okay, that's all. I wasn't just trying to be prurient. That is the end of the coin. I wanted to establish this because this is her idea of full disclosure, is like this extremely vague setup about how we slept together once, and then I just spent all of my time with him. I didn't have access to his house or anything, except we traveled together all the time.
Except we traveled together and we always slept in the same bed.
Right. And I managed all of his properties, and also he's giving me, and we're going to get to this, but lots of money for reasons. But she's simultaneously trying to say she had no idea what's going on in his life, and that she's a confidant, and that they're close. And that she's running his business, but also not. And she doesn't know where the money's going. So it's it's all over the place.
I'm realizing too, another problem was that I listened to this on 400 speed. So people sound more credible. I didn't realize this took her 8 minutes to say, right. Well, so you see, so yeah, no, I'm gonna amend my former statement. I think that I wasn't going to listen to this 6 hours on one speed. And now I realize I have no actual judgment as to how truthful she sounded, because when you go faster, you sound more truthful. It's like,
I
she's
just-
able to lie so smoothly.
I
It's
mean,
worked
and
out for me,
also
though.
just note that there's occasionally sort of a follow-up question from Blanche, but there's
Right.
no
Mhm.
actual kind of
Pushback.
pushback, right?
No.
Oh, of course.
So wait, I thought you said that you slept with him. So how could have you not been in the same bed? Oh, well, this. Then we traveled, but also not, as opposed to, okay, so you never slept there a single night, but you did sleep with him in other occasions in other beds. But why was it that he never let you sleep at that home? Is it unusual that you were traveling together?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I mean, I'm spitballing, right? I would probably have
No.
better,
Yeah.
more thought out
But-
questions. Or
right.
the last question, which is, he didn't like to have sexual intercourse because he had a heart condition. Oh, what was the heart condition? Oh, I mean, I don't know. I don't know. It was just very, okay. I don't.
Yeah. But then
Prince
he likes
Andrew.
other forms of activities, which of course is going to be quite a giveaway. For
I
where
will
we're
say
going
she
but-
does later say that she thinks that was a lie to
Right.
not, I think to not have sex with her, maybe. Like, I think she
Right.
thinks, or at least she's saying, maybe that's another way for her to be more the victim or something. But later on, she's like, well, I think he was, essentially that Epstein was telling her a lie as to why he wouldn't have sex with her or something.
And we're also going to learn she has a very Clintonian idea of what sex is, but we should keep moving here to another
Yes.
Dershowitz point. Another Dershowitz point about cameras. So you might remember in the Alan Dershowitz Wall Street Journal piece, he very specifically mentioned, he didn't have cameras in his house except for this one time.
Yeah.
So we'll talk, and she's also going to coincidentally mention this one time. And again, I want to point out just before we listen to this, it is well known that there were cameras. There are pictures of cameras in bedrooms, that there are cameras everywhere. She herself had told a close friend like 20 or 30 years ago that there were cameras everywhere and that they were recording people. And again, who knows? Maybe she's not credible,
okay.
but like,
Wow.
it's come up multiple times in her life. And she actually has told various people that there are recordings, which might have a lot to do with how she's getting to the point she's in right now, where she's giving a pointless proffer session because there are still recordings out there. I'm just going to throw that out there using her own words.
Okay.
I'm just,
I didn't
putting
know
things out
we
that she
had
said.
like proof that she. So we
Just
had
her own
proof
words.
of pictures of camera. No, you said pictures of.
Yeah, no,
cameras
yes, pictures in
bedrooms.
bedrooms. But also, remember, I mentioned when we talked about this in the Epstein episode that the FBI came. They didn't have a search warrant to collect the contents of the safe, but they saw that in the safe
Right.
there were a bunch of recordings and photos, and so like they just couldn't take them. So there's a picture of those things, but they don't know what's in them because somebody took
wow.
them the next day before the search warrant was executed, the full warrant.
Yeah, that's
so
crazy.
and it is well known.
That's the kind of
he had
stuff
a
that
recording
sounds
system.
like conspiracy nuttery, but you're saying this is all like
Yeah,
the confirmed,
It's all out there.
straight
No,
laced lawyer
there's
version
like
of it.
actual photos of
Wow.
these cameras and all sorts of
And she's just but let's listen to her explanation and remember what the Dershowitz one was too, and think
Mhm.
about how this matches up.
Yeah.
This is at 1:19:04.
Oh, okay. Well, my first thing that I wanted to just briefly play is I think around 117.
Oh,
She
sure.
makes an odd comment about the FBI that I was like, I kind of wanted to see.
Sure.
Let's do it.
Oh shoot. I have a rough timestamp. I'm realizing mine might not be exact, so let's see if it's around here.
That he was doing that and he was going to tell everybody, going to say, you had inappropriate relations with an underage girl. If you don't have video, photographic evidence, I'm not sure that even the FBI would take that, well, maybe today, but certainly not back then, would take that seriously.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
I'm
what
glad
is-
you. Yeah.
What
Oh, that
was
was
that?
so bizarre.
I couldn't tell if that was her accidentally saying, "Oh, you know how the FBI is a joke now because of Trump," or not. I don't know. What is that?
I thought this was just. I think this was just her pontificating and coming up with a theory that doesn't make a lot of sense of why. Of course, it wouldn't make any sense. She basically comes out there and what she says is, "Oh, there were never secret cameras, and there couldn't have been a blackmail relationship because a blackmail situation because there were never secret cameras, and also even if they're you would have needed to have cameras in order to blackmail because the FBI would have never taken it seriously without a camera.
Mm.
It's a totally bizarre tangent.
Oh,
very
okay.
strange.
I think that's her saying, well, now that the woke are in control,
Right.
now that after Me Too and everybody's like, oh, whatever. But back then, okay, so she's saying
Yeah.
back in the day,
Back
they wouldn't
then.
have even taken the idea that someone was a creep seriously without like
They wouldn't
actual
believe
camera proof.
women. Yeah, that's what she's
Yeah.
saying. Yeah. But she's
Yeah.
also really stressing that there is no evidence, and that's what she really wants to,
Exactly.
because she
Yeah.
uses the word corroboration a lot in a very strange way that most people do not in regular conversation. She's like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, I can corroborate that, or this can be corroborated, or whatever. Anyway, but yeah, that's
Sure. I mean, this isn't a normal conversation. I'll at least
No,
grant
this
her
is
that.
It's so bizarre. I mean, it's a false premise built on a false premise. Also, absolutely, I do think law enforcement would have taken seriously allegations
Yes.
without photograph or video. Like, come
yes.
on.
Yeah.
If you have
Yeah.
multiple people coming forward with the same
Children,
story,
sex
of course,
trafficking?
yeah,
Like,
of course.
come on.
How does she know that? Come on.
I mean, it's not like
Yeah,
but
that
the
sounds like
Miami
a-
case did not develop on the basis of a photograph or video.
Yeah. I'm not sure why the video keeps resetting. It might be because it's so long. But sorry, it keeps like, I don't know what that is, but okay. So your clip though was 119 what?
1904.
Yeah, I'm glad you included that because I really rolled my eyes there.
Yeah, I genuinely just wasn't sure what that was, but I think you nailed it.
From what you know, and you
It's a little early.
only know what you know,
I only know what I know.
but from what
I
you
only know.
know, you do not believe a camera exists,
I only know what
or
Matt
a
knows.
video
It's
camera,
weird.
or a camera that takes pictures
You only know what you know.
inside any of his residences.
Correct.
So even the appropriate cameras that you just talked about, which would be kind of exterior security cameras, did you know whether there was any cameras that you're aware of inside any of the locations?
Never, with one exception.
Okay, what's the exception?
The exception is Palm Beach.
Okay.
And the reason, so in Palm Beach, Epstein was having money stolen. He noticed money was being stolen from his briefcase, call it his briefcase. And he called in the Palm Beach police, and the Palm Beach police, installed cameras on where he kept his briefcase.
Where was that? Do you remember?
At his desk. So the house on the ground floor was, he had a desk sort of in a corner. There was that camera. I think there was another camera. I think there were 2 or maybe 3 cameras. I believe only on the ground floor, wherever he may have had, maybe he had another office in the cabana. There may have been a camera there.
When was this? I'm not looking for an exact date, but what time period are you thinking about when you say this?
2003. I think I can date it for you precisely, actually. 2003, I'm pretty firm on that date. And I can be firm because John Alessi, the butler, was fired in the end of 2002, and he was the thief.
So aside from law enforcement installing a camera to try to catch somebody stealing money from Mr. Epstein, you're not aware of any cameras at the island? No? Sorry, just so we record it. No,
sorry.
No, that's okay. You were nodding your head no. So what about...
No cameras anywhere outside of possibly things that I would consider normal. So the garage gate, something like that, a front door.
Outside, like security cameras?
Security cameras. And there were cameras inside in the 71st Street that did the plant, the physical plant, because it was a commercial building. So you had the hot water. That's a real thing. That's a commercial building, and there was one camera on the front door, from the internal that did the front door, as I recall. But there were no other cameras inside the house.
Did you ever? How about photographs? Did you ever observe Mr. Epstein or anybody around him take pictures of anybody in compromising positions with women or with anybody?
No.
Did you ever hear, when you were present for conversations that Mr. Epstein was having or others were having, anybody accuse him of blackmailing them or of trying to extort them because of something Mr. Epstein knew?
No.
There have been, and you in the discovery you got in the New York case, okay?
Yes.
And in the civil cases that you've been part of associated with Mr. Epstein, have you ever been given or ever been told that video exists like what we're talking about, or photos were taken that were compromising?
That's
So
what it's done.
in the
She's gonna say there isn't. So yeah, just a couple of things that there have been multiple people, including multiple victims, who've said that they're certain that there's video, that they heard them talking about it, that they saw cameras. There's, for what it's worth, there are a couple of different anonymous sources that were close. First of all, Epstein himself told 2 different journalists that he had compromising stuff that he was going to use if he needed to. And again, as much as you can believe any of these people,
could have been bullshitting.
Yeah, that was in 2018. And she told several people that she had stuff that she could use. And, certainly I'm not being too conspiracy minded. I'm just saying that if she did happen to have, copies buried in a backyard somewhere that she knows where the, GPS coordinates are, that's a lot you can use to get a pardon. But again, we're not going to go that
from
far.
a normal administration.
Well, I mean, if you want to blackmail the president, that's how you do it. But speaking of pardons, we should go into the next part, which is this is really the entire reason she's here. So we got to listen to this part.
If I can I actually have a few things to say about,
please.
this, if I can just jump in. So first off, I just want to know, so when she talks about, the one exception, I feel like it's okay to make fun of British accents, posh British accents. I think that's there's no issues there. When she talks about the one exception, so she brings up this individual who she calls John Alessi. His name is Juan Alessi. Obviously,
That's right.
And he's someone who actually testified against her in her trial. And he provided, I think, a lot of background as to happenings in the house. He talked about that there was something like a 60-page manual that, said many things, including pretty much just don't ever ask or inquire about Mr. Epstein's whereabouts, so on, so on. And he was alleged to have stolen about $6,000 from Mr. Epstein from Jeffrey Epstein. I think he had testified after he quit or in connection with him quitting. But I did find that interaction to be so utterly bizarre. Also, if you're, I guess I would just say is if you're leaving your briefcase out with a bunch of cash, and so why do you have a briefcase full of cash that someone, it's a very odd, odd series. And that the Palm Beach police came and installed camera. It's just very odd.
I find that so weird. I said that when we covered that, I was like, why would they, what? Why? I didn't know they did that, but is it just, he
gave a lot of money to the Palm Beach police. He owned them in a very real way, especially because, when he was in house arrest, he basically was paying 2 plainclothes officers to wear suits and stand outside his office. But again, it still doesn't make any sense. And the fact that Dershowitz happens to mention it and she happens to mention it as the example of, yes, that was the one place he had cameras. I'm not going to speculate on this too much, but don't sue us, Alan. But it just seems like there's some coordination going on here amongst a number of people to get these talking points straight.
Yeah, it does seem like... It's another thing too, where that's the kind of thing that I don't want to get too into. I don't know, the psychology of lying and all that isn't that reliable. But it does seem like a pointless. Why would you even bring that up? It just seems like a thing, an excuse to be able to talk about something as an exception to that doesn't have any relevance to anything. Well, there was one time. Now you see what was happening. It's like the kind of thing that if you're trying to obfuscate is really useful. To be able to go into details about the story that does not at all matter in any way. And that is obviously not the kind of camera anyone cares about. It's no part of that matters. I do find it kind of odd and artificial.
Yeah.
It is. And it's the same way that it was.
Nothing to see here.
Yep,
nothing to see here, Thomas.
And literally the same way it was when Dershowitz wrote about it. And because the Dershowitz talking points, I remember saying this at the time when we did the Dershowitz episode, that it just seems like this is a bunch of stuff that's going to be coming out soon that he just wants to get ahead of, that he wants to kind of get his own spin on first. But let's get to the really good stuff here, the heart of the entire purpose we're here for. 146.21.
This is what I have too.
This is the good stuff.
And I realized that I wasn't sure if the audio was messing up or if YouTube was being weird, so I've now just opened the actual video. I realized that since I made the YouTube video, I can just open the actual video. So maybe we'll see if it goes. 146. Oh man, it's such a long video. It's hard to get the right. All right, I'm going to 146. Best I can do. Final offer.
Yeah. So they spent time on the plane together, and I don't believe there was ever a massage on the plane. So that would have been the only time that I think that President Clinton could have even received a massage, and he didn't, because I was there.
And you mentioned that early, in the very beginning of the conversation, you mentioned President Trump in the early 90s.
Yeah.
I guess the dropouts
what did you observe as far as President Trump and his relationship with you or Mr. Epstein?
Well, I just want to say for my relationship with President Trump, relationship's a big word, but I just want to say that I met him, or I believe I may have, because of my father in the 90s.
Yep. Okay.
So my father liked him very much, and he really liked his wife as well, because they were both Czechoslovakian. And as far as I'm concerned, President Trump was always very cordial and very kind to me. And I just want to say that I admire his extraordinary achievement in becoming the president now, and I like him, and I've always liked him. So that is the sum and substance of my entire relationship with him.
What about Mr. Epstein's relationship with him?
I don't know how they met, and I don't know how they became friends. I certainly saw them together, and I remember the few times I observed them together that they were friendly. I mean,
Was
they
that
seemed
in
friendly.
social settings, or was that in private settings?
I believe I only ever saw them in social settings. I don't recall any private settings.
Have you ever been to Mar-a-Lago in Palm Beach?
I have.
And what time period are you thinking about when you say yes?
Well, I don't remember when the president purchased Mar-a-Lago, so from whenever it turned into a club, I went there, and I loved going there.
Did you go there alone or with Mr. Epstein?
Mostly alone.
Do you know
Only
whether-
times I went there was for an event, maybe once or twice.
And do you know whether Mr. Epstein ever went there?
I believe he did, but again, we really were. He didn't take me with him all the time, so he would go and. Oh right, I never. Well, he did from time to time, but he would go alone. I think he would maybe go himself to the spa. I certainly did.
Did you ever observe President Trump receive a massage?
Never.
Did you ever observe? You said that you were. I mean, have you seen there's photographs, public photographs of Mr. Epstein and President Trump together?
Yes.
And there's photographs of. I think you're in some of the photographs
Yes.
as well. Those all appear to be social settings.
Yes.
Do you?
That's my memory. If there were social settings, I don't know. Epstein's, if he had, whatever the nature of the president's friendship, if you will, or however you want to define that with Epstein, I was never witness. I think they were friendly, like people are in social settings. I don't think they were close friends, or I certainly never witnessed the president in any of. I don't recall ever seeing him in his house, for instance. I actually never saw the president in any type of massage setting. I never witnessed the president in any inappropriate setting in any way. The president was never inappropriate with anybody. In the times that I was with him, he was a gentleman
saved a
in
kid.
all respects.
When's the last time you think you saw in person President Trump?
Probably when his shirt was off and he was
It's-
oiled and his muscles
It's been a
shone
long
in the
time.
sun.
Probably not. Sometime in the mid 2000s maybe, and it would only have been a social setting, as far as I recall.
Social setting.
And did
Not
you ever hear
private setting.
Mr. Epstein or anybody say that President Trump had done anything inappropriate with masseuses or with anybody in your world?
Absolutely never. In
And-
any context.
Do you know whether masseuses from Mar-a-Lago Spa ended up giving massages to private massages to Mr. Epstein? And I'm not asking for what you may have read, but from at the time, from your personal knowledge, do you know whether that's true?
I don't recall. Is it possible? Yes. But I don't remember that. So I don't recall that, but it's possible.
Do you have recollection of you ever recruiting a masseuse from Mar-a-Lago Spa to go give a private massage to Mr. Epstein?
I've never recruited a masseuse from Mar-a-Lago for that, as far as I remember. I can't ever recollect doing that.
All right, that's it.
Okay, so
now
what I think we should do now, it's about 12:15. We'll take a break.
I want to pause. There we go. Sorry.
It's amazing. That's when he chooses to take a break, so he can call Trump and be like, "Yep, we got it. Let's go home."
Yeah. Yeah, maybe
we
he's
need it,
like
Liz.
trying to see if he can just leave.
Perfect time to take a break. Yeah. But no, there's more to talk about. There's more on the list. But I hadn't really caught that at the very end there. She's actually contradicting Trump, who had said.
She's contradicting Trump.
Yeah. In public
Oh, really?
that she had stolen the masseuse, right, from Mar-a-Lago.
Right. Oh, did you say
Right.
that she had, or that Epstein?
That I guess that Epstein did.
That
yeah,
Epstein
so
had,
generally,
that was the reason for
But-
their fallout, was that he'd taken all
I
these
don't
young
think Trump ever said that.
masseuses.
But she was his recruiter, right? He wasn't personally recruiting women for the most part, but girls. But
And-
yeah, so yeah, good.
Trump's only ever had great things to say about Ghislaine.
Yeah, of course.
Wish her well. Hope she's doing great.
And just to be, and maybe I think everyone probably listening can tell this, but there's a long and extended dialogue before this that more or less gets to the point that masseuse is a proxy for some version of sex worker to some extent, right? Or that these women were being hired for massages by Epstein, and he would tire of them, and they were young, but they weren't underage. And, were there sexual acts happening? Perhaps they were, but it's not
do
clear.
you mind
Like,
if I fast forward in the timeline? Because I had a note about that exact thing in a clip that I don't think, Matt, you were going to play. Sorry, Liz, to interrupt.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
go ahead.
I think it's worth noting, because it's not just, it's a very
This
extended.
was one of those things that I kind of laughed out loud at when I talked about how the second half she didn't seem as truthful. I hope this timestamp is roughly correct, but bear with me. But this is toward the very end, and I laughed out loud. I know it's obviously this is all very, very dark, but I laughed at the chutzpah or whatever. They just heard. So here, let's see.
I did see that. I saw. What I mean by that is he would have women around him, or women on the plane, or women in his house, or that's how I'm explaining that. Those women,
I think I went back too far.
I never saw that. So any time non-consensual. So if he, well, maybe they didn't. I never saw anything that looked like they didn't like the hug, or I never saw what I would characterize as anything that was unconsensual.
Did you see him either receiving or participating in sexual conduct during massages? Understanding you never saw something non-consensual, did you see him engaged in sexual conduct during massages?
Well, you could define sexual conduct as in, I did see women who could have been, less than normally clad for a massage, but especially on the island where they would be in a bikini or possibly even topless. Yeah, I did see that.
Oh, okay.
So you would.
But what about So
this was after, and I didn't go back to the full thing. This is after her for, I don't know, an hour. What felt like an hour, talking about how like there's just massages. Like it's just he liked massages, and then it's like all of a sudden. Well, sometimes they're topless, but like that's just normal massage stuff, right? I was like, what are you talking about? So, sometimes they might have been topless. Like that's she's in her mind, nothing ever happened, I guess. It's all coincidentally a masseuse was topless for some reason.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sorry to that point, Liz. That was what I was reminded of. So if I interrupted you, please finish. Your thought.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Oh, we good on that? Okay, so where did we want to go next?
Yeah, I think that all spoke for itself, that she's looking for a pardon. I think we don't have to really analyze that too much, those statements. So let's go on to how could she have possibly known? This is, again, we're not going to justify or get into her justifications or whatever. I just want to get a little sample of the lies here to give people a taste before we get into the more interesting stuff. But 205:15, we don't have that much left, actually.
Really? Oh, wow.
Yeah. There's smaller clips. So,
we're nowhere in the
We're getting
let's see. I guess.
So let's.
And sorry, I need to say, even if they were true, I believe that he was duped and he didn't know that they were, whatever it was in the papers at that time, whether they said that they were 17 or whatever. I didn't. It didn't register because
he was duped.
Along with all of those. Well, not in 2006, but later when the more salacious and other allegations came out, I knew were utterly false, which then just reinforced my...
Hey, remember when Trump said, like, oh, he likes them young? I think he likes them younger than me, maybe even. He likes them young. So that was to the point where Trump was saying that. But Ghislaine is like, well, if there were any underage, who were, topless, giving him massages and all that crap that was not sexual at all, he was duped. He was, he's a patsy.
Since you mentioned, I meant to mention before that Trump, Jeffrey Epstein, as we know, said that he was Trump's closest friend for 10 years. So she's saying that Trump never went to his house. You don't go to your closest friend's house ever, which he's very well known to have gone to Epstein's house all the time.
Well, I wanted to say, but
they were friendly in social settings.
Yeah, those are all social settings. Sorry, you mean the place where photos get taken normally? So all the photos are from places where photos happen. Is that what you're saying? I think they conveniently were like, there's no undercover photos of when they were just hanging out.
Right.
Like,
No,
who would take a picture of that and publish it? That wouldn't. Okay. Very convenient. Anyway, sorry, there's more of this clip. I paused it.
Yeah, a little bit.
Okay.
I believe that the rest was not true.
Let me ask you a question about the age of the masseuses over the years. I think in my mind, there's a difference between you knowing or not knowing that a masseuse is under the age of 18 and coming to give a massage, and you knowing that Mr. Epstein, sexually abused the underage person or made her strip or something like that. Meaning, and I want to understand whether you believe that nobody that came to give massages, none of the women were under 18, or that you didn't focus on their age, but you were more focused on whether any underage woman
Pull it together, Ted.
was abused by him.
I have no idea what he just said.
I think
What is that question?
I think it's better to answer this question with corroborating evidence and then go back and explain so that I frame your understanding of what I'm saying. My understanding is that in 2000
And let me just say, as a podcast co-host that she is, I think that's good. Like when the person you're podcasting with, like, the question is, when they're struggling, it's good as a co-host to jump in.
Look it up. Good conversational partner.
let's say
It's just
2008,
normal prosecutor stuff, obviously.
Yeah.
they had interviewed 44 women, let's say, or around that number.
Jesus.
Oh, you have to understand, not a single one of those 44 women mentioned me in a single report. And it's not because... Go back. They didn't mention me in the report because they never met me, they never saw me, and they never interacted with me. So to go back to your question, it's not that I thought one way or another, it's that I didn't see them.
Okay, I see. Okay.
Does that...
Yeah. No, that's helpful. So.
But when I say not one single one of those reports talks about me. And I just want to clarify exactly, because I'm obviously aware that one of those girls was one of the witnesses in my trial, specifically. To use her own testimony so that you don't have to hear my point of view, it's better if it comes from her own words, and that way there's no second guessing whether what I'm saying. Herself said that recruited her, brought her, and trained her. Those are own words. Where was I going with this?
That you didn't know. I mean, I assume.
Oh yeah, sorry. Yes, I'm trying to remember the words.
It's okay.
I really do have some slow cognition issues.
So she says she testifies that it was that recruited her and trained her, and not you.
Right,
so then
it's just
painful.
It's so bad.
He's like a defense attorney taking her through her defense. Like he's not a prosecutor at all in this
It's
scene.
so also it's just I mean, not that I don't understand his question, but whatever she said wasn't responsive to his question to the extent I can even understand it.
Yeah, I
which is
don't
also,
understand what the question was.
I think he was trying to say there's this difference between, actively sexually abusing young women, knowing them to be young women, and if, this masseuse just shows up in your room and
she's
they happen to be
17.
underage and then they
Yeah.
perform sex acts, because that's
Right.
what we're implying throughout that these masseuses are doing.
Right.
And actually, like, I mean, there are probably different charges for both sets of situations, but I just want to note that, as we all know, sexual activity with minors, like, that's a strict liability
It's
crime.
not consent.
It's not, they can't consent as a matter of law.
Mhm.
So but then, and so she responds to that by saying, well, actually, let's take a look at the corroborating evidence against me. The 44 people that DOJ interviewed who didn't mention me. She refers to a report, but there's no report that's
Any of the
produced.
reports, yeah.
Any of the
but
reports.
doesn't
And
mention
then,
the trial. Yeah.
right. And then she just goes into the trial stuff. But I would say it's very odd. But the other thing is, I mean, I think part of the reason this continues to be a matter of, interest, right, is that, DOJ's reported, like, the number of victims is over 1,000.
Wow,
Yeah.
really?
Yeah.
Yes.
Holy
Yeah.
shit.
We'll never know. Yeah,
We'll
no,
never
it's
really
Jeez.
know.
for sure. And because
And yeah. And so I certainly believe that in her multi-decade friendship with Jeffrey Epstein, there was maybe a period of time which maybe coincided with some of the allegations in connection with the Florida case where maybe she was less involved. Maybe, but
Yeah.
it's so bizarre. It's so bizarre. And just to then discredit this individual, it's terrible.
Yeah.
this is as much as we're going to play of this kind of thing, but reminding, of course, that Maria Farmer and Ransom, I believe, I'm not remembering her first name, Virginia Giuffre, like, they all had very specific stories about the ways that they were groomed and recruited and trained with her, basically, that she
Yeah.
brought them in. And the complaint is very detailed. That was what she's convicted of. And she's just sitting here acting like she's barely met these people and has no idea what's going on.
Man, I know we're not doing it today, but time for a separate something, because I hate now that I only really know Ghislaine Maxwell's version of this, because it's like,
Yeah.
ugh, feels gross. I hate it.
It's also incomprehensible. I mean, it just doesn't add up to anything. It doesn't make a lot of sense, because she was there the whole time. She's running his business. She's getting money, but she's also doesn't have anything.
I would at least say that she makes she invented an alternate universe, it sounds like, that makes some sense, where she's just vaguely associated with him and helped with some stuff here and there, and we'll get to the money stuff but later. But yeah, to hear her tell it, she was barely involved, and sure, she might have talked to some people here and there, but it was nothing.
I remember I don't remember who this was, but there was somebody that didn't spend a lot of time in Epstein's mansion, but had been there a couple of times, and said you just couldn't not notice that there were young women hanging around, sometimes in schoolgirl outfits or otherwise looking really inappropriate. Like, just a casual visitor noticing this, right?
Right.
And she has no idea.
And
Okay.
to the point, we've made the point that Todd Blanche has no incentive to push on any of this. But even he, at a certain point, I forget when, even he's like, yeah, but you do think it's weird, right? That there was, like, just all these young women around all the time. Like, you do acknowledge that that's a little odd. And she's like, well, sure, but we all normalized it or something, is her answer at that time. And it is funny that even he feels some obligation to point that out.
Yeah, and I do want to acknowledge that I feel a little bad that we are giving so much airtime to her. And we're not going to play the clips, so maybe we should another time, of some of the women talking about these experiences. But there were 4 women who testified against her. There were 6 who were named in her trial. And, they all told very detailed stories that I believe completely. And unfortunately, Virginia
The
Giuffre
odds
did
of
take her
them
life.
making that up. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, I'm with you. No, it's just, it doesn't, the detail and the corroboration between the stories, and just the similarities and the patterns of conduct, like, it's all pretty obvious. And, the idea that she's just going to discredit them, and basically what she is going to end up saying is essentially that they're all sex workers and you can't trust their word.
Yeah.
She
And
does
like
pretty
Liz said,
much
there's
say
no
that,
such thing. There's no such thing as
Yeah.
an underage sex worker. That's not a thing. That doesn't exist. Like, that's somebody who's
It gets
being
it
raped.
does get pretty bad. The way she presents it,
Yeah.
as though, like,
That's as much as we're
she
gonna hear.
presents it as though Epstein is like the victim, and it's like,
duped.
oh boy,
He's duped.
Yeah, duped. She says duped. Duped.
She did.
Anyway, yeah.
Terrible.
But totally. Just the odds that, like, these 4, 6, whatever you said, independent women are going to make up that she was involved. Like, even if you wanted to believe that women make up stories about, which I don't believe, even if you want to believe that, they also make up stories about, like, someone who helped with a crime randomly. He was a woman. Like, it just,
Yeah.
that's silly.
Yeah.
It's absolutely silly.
And that she was there for the massages and participated at least in the abuse in a couple of instances as well. That's really,
Yeah, I
wanna
remember
make
at
sure
the
I
time when
mention
this came out, it seemed like that was pretty like sinister in how instrumental that would be to this process, to have like a woman there, that makes it feel like it's a bit more of an acceptable situation or a safer situation than it is because, there's a woman there and she's kind of like, I remember feeling like that sounds like it was pretty instrumental in this, like pretty vital.
Yeah.
Right. And when communicating with parents and other things like that, of
Yeah.
course, right?
Yeah, if you
Just
just have
as-
some fucking guy, that's a lot different than if you have this, posh sounding, high society
Judi Dench.
sounding British woman. Yeah.
Yeah, no, she really did present herself as like a mother figure, and some of these women did have troubled, backgrounds, and
Yikes.
terrible. It's really terrible.
Yeah.
Like classic
awful.
grooming stuff. But let's move on to something a little bit lighter. I got to say that, Thomas, if you just sort of dropped in passing that at some point you'd work for the CIA, I think I'd remember that. But maybe some people wouldn't. Let's find out at 2/12/49.
Oh, okay. I'm not sure what this is. Let's see.
Yeah, this is interesting little detail.
Would have known, like he would have told you something like that. Like if I said to you, Mr. Epstein was a source for the FBI, would you say that's crazy? No, he wasn't, or maybe he was. He would have told me that anyway.
I have two answers for that. I think if he was for real, I think he would have bragged about it to me as a show-off, because he could be a show-off. And if he wasn't, he might have dropped it like he was cool. And I don't think,
If he wasn't.
I don't remember him doing either. Now, with again the caveat that before I met him, finding money, I think he may have suggested that there were some people who helped him, but that's the only context that I recall that in.
What do you mean by that? When you said finding money, what do you mean?
Well, his business where remember I told you, I think in that context, he showed me a photograph that he had with some African warlords or something that he told me, and, I don't remember if that's what I interpreted, like that kind of thing, or whether it was something like that. That's the only actual active memory I have of something nefarious. Well, nefarious. I don't even know if it was nefarious, but covert, I suppose, would be the word.
Yeah, that feels
And
like.
what about any other
Here it
intelligence
comes.
agency, like the CIA or Defense Intelligence or any other law enforcement agency?
Long pause.
Okay.
Hold.
I don't think so. I think that I don't remember anything like that. I just don't think he had the wherewithal, and I think that whole aspect of that is. Can I use a bad word?
Yes.
Bullshit.
Okay.
And what do you?
First of all, I love the thing of like the podcast thing. It's like, is this an explicit podcast?
Yeah.
Can I say
Yeah.
bullshit? Yeah.
I don't want to fuck up your sponsorships, Todd.
Such a familiar question. But so the categorical denial that he was working for the FBI, but then the very long pause when she asked about CIA or other intelligence.
Was that like her lawyer? It sounded like the kind of thing where the look. Oh yeah, yes. I don't think right?
I don't recall anything like that.
Yeah,
I don't
it
think he had the
sounded like
wherewithal.
her lawyer was doing something, was gesturing,
Yeah. And anybody that I've ever met in my life, if you ask me, did they ever tell you they work for the CIA? I'd say no, they didn't.
Yes, and to your point,
like
if someone's like, Thomas, did Matt work for the FBI? No. Did he work for the CIA? I don't think so.
just didn't seem like that kind of guy.
Yeah,
I don't remember anything like that.
It's like,
And wait till
that
they-
is weirdly specific. You're right.
Wait till we get to the Mossad part, because it gets even weirder. I think he really was working for Mossad, because Robert Maxwell definitely was. But let's keep going, because we are going through it. This is, of course,
such
go ahead.
sorry. Please,
I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, I'm just I don't remember anything. I said, can I use a bad word?
It was
So posh, so proper.
yeah.
It was it's so odd.
Yeah.
I don't know.
She is one of the most fascinating villains, I think, in the 21st century, for sure. I have to admit. they don't sound like this usually. This is Bond movie stuff. All right. Now we're going to finally get to what we've all been waiting for, the appearance of Alan Dershowitz. So we've got 243-31. And this was definitely on the list of things that Todd Blanche was told to ask about. Because it's
Say it
pretty
again?
specific.
What's the question?
Do you know Mr. Dershowitz?
Yes.
Do you know whether he knew Mr. Epstein? Do you know the nature of their relationship?
I definitely do know Alan. I'm just trying to remember if I knew him. I'm trying to remember how I met him. I met him separate from Epstein. I don't remember. So that I have no recollection. I remember, I know that he was Epstein's lawyer. I don't know if they had any relationship prior to that. I don't remember. Oh, I do, actually. I think they met at the same Martha's Vineyard through Lynn Forrester now. I think that's what happened. I think that's it.
And why do you think that?
Harassing any vendors?
Because it just popped in my head.
Okay. And did you you said that Mr. Dershowitz was Mr. Epstein's attorney. Do you know whether they also socialized?
So my personal memory of when I have two distinct memories with Alan. One is with him and his wife at the island, and I absolutely remember that. And I remember, I think going to his house in Boston, if he had a house in Boston. Those are the only 2 times I remember.
Did you ever observe Mr. Dershowitz doing anything inappropriate with young women around Mr. Epstein?
Never.
Did you ever hear did anybody ever tell you that he had done anything inappropriate?
Absolutely not.
Do you know one way or the other whether Mr. Dershowitz ever got a massage at the island or any of the locations that he was at with Mr. Epstein?
I don't remember anything about him ever getting a massage. I don't ever have any recollection. I don't believe I ever even saw him in a bathroom. I have no knowledge of that.
Okay, that's it's so specific. I don't. Again, I haven't seen most people I know in a bathroom.
I haven't seen him in a bathrobe, let alone getting a massage.
It was so odd.
Yeah, it's just so specific, and like pages of material on exonerating Alan Dershowitz. I will point out, just because we're not going to play obviously every single person who's mentioned, but I just made a quick list here. The people who are exonerated, who are specifically asked about, just kind of going through the phone book here.
Oh, yeah,
Donald Trump, Bill Clinton, Bill Gates, Elon Musk, Ehud Barak, Harvey Weinstein, Piers Morgan, Alan Dershowitz, Bill Barr, and his father Donald Barr are all mentioned and cleared.
I missed Piers Morgan. I totally missed him.
Yeah, he's in there. So that was part of the point of all of this, was just to kind of make sure that
most suspect.
The creepy British guy who would have, but it's and Prince Andrew, she does, of course, exonerate, and he's just delightful, and they got along like a house on fire. We're not going to play any of that because I don't care. But
and here's the thing again, she part of me was like, okay, is she gonna actually instead of exonerating people, is she going to point the finger at it? But if her whole theory is that nothing ever happened, how could she do that? She can't point the finger at anyone,
right? Because she didn't know anything.
I'm hearing some feedback. Is it?
No.
Okay. Anyway, sorry about that. She can't. Oh, is it because your earbud thing came out? I think that's what.
That'll do it.
I was like pointed at the mic. I was like, what is that? So yeah, you can't point the finger at anyone if there's nothing that happened. Oh, and before I forget too, there's another thing I remembered, Matt, that I mentioned to you before this, which is with her memory problems, she makes the claim very early on that she was. Now, and again, I'm not defending how any of our prisons or federal prisons work, but she makes the claim that she was 2 years in the SHU. And she says, which it's awful, no one should be in that long. I do have every sympathy for anyone, including criminals, shouldn't be treated like that. But she says, I was on suicide watch, so I was woken up every 15 minutes for 2 years, is what she says. And I'm like, that's not possible. You'd be dead. There's no way. No one was woken up every 15 minutes for 2 years. And it's just might be a small thing, but I think maybe if you're gonna bullshit, you might want to have the excuse of, my memory, it just takes me a while to, be able to think of the lie that I'm going to tell or not tell, or, it's like, she talks about memory issues. She talks about stuff like that. There's no fucking way she was woken up every 15 minutes for 2 years, right? Am I crazy?
No.
It's not as bad as our prisons are.
No. If she were really that bad off, they would have sent her to an actual psychiatric facility. And honestly, I don't know. I mean, again, I don't have any idea how BOP works, but that doesn't sound credible. And she's clearly, throughout this transcript, she's laying down a potential cognition defense if she said anything that's provably wrong. Oh, I don't remember. And I mean, she's also, some of the things she's claiming not to remember, she's like, oh yeah, I think Alan Dershowitz was Jeffrey Epstein's lawyer. Come on, man. Like, you've been around. We all know that. Yeah. All right. Any other thoughts on that part?
No. What's the next clip here?
Yeah, it's good for Dersh. All right. So this one I really enjoyed. This is short, but there's some great stuff in it. 326:51. Two amazing things came out.
Okay.
326:58.
Let me
Skipping
see
ahead
here. I had a note at 321. I'm just checking if that matters. Maybe it's a confusing note, so I'll skip it.
Sure.
I had Oh no, what was yours?
326.
Okay, I have to do 325 because I really need to know what this is.
Let's play it through.
Okay.
Let's see here. Around 325 is what I have.
Heard or read from others, not from Mr. Epstein. Is that right?
Let me go back.
About the non-prosecution direct.
Okay, it's that, but let me go back slightly on that so we can get the full context. Here.
I can't, let's put it this way. If he did, I have no recollection of it. I mean, I'm sure he must have said, this is all whatever he said, or it's nothing, or whatever. I mean,
about
I just don't have any... I just don't have any memory. I mean, I was with Ted. I was like gone. I mean, plus, I just didn't want to know either, I suppose.
So you don't know firsthand why the U.S. attorney in Florida made the deal that he did, meaning you weren't part of that discussion along the way. Like Mr. Epstein didn't say, I'm getting a good deal, or, something's happening with the case that's very good. You to the extent you know anything about it, it's just from what you've heard or read from others, not from Mr. Epstein. Is that right?
He never
He's
talked
just
about
like
the
feeding her the
non-prosecution
question.
direction,
I mean, the answer.
But he did.
But it's still enforceable as to her.
I mean, he never said, hey, are you happy with this deal? Like that.
Yeah, what was that?
Okay, so this is amazing because that's her argument at the Supreme Court right now, is that it's not enforceable as to her. Remember, because this is the terrible non-prosecution agreement, the best non-prosecution agreement of all time that covered all future conspirators ever who might have ever been involved. And she's arguing to the Supreme Court at this moment. David Marcus is making a joke about it, but I mean, everybody laughs. I don't know if he's meaning to make a joke. But she's making the point that this wasn't a great deal, but of course it's still not enforceable against me.
Wait, I think it is enforceable. She wants to say it is enforceable, right?
I'm sorry, it is enforceable, yes. But you can't, right.
As we discussed, this sweetheart deal involved no prosecution for like anyone. What was it? It was very expansive, right? It was just insane.
Named or unnamed, who might possibly have ever conspired with him. And so she's arguing in front of the Supreme Court right now that should vacate her conviction. And she might be right, as we've discussed. There's a circuit split on this issue about how expansive these can be, about how much DOJ can make promises for other prosecutors across the country. So yeah, that's kind of what that's about. But she's about to say that she thinks she agrees with him that he got a bad deal out of this non-prosecution agreement.
So that was her lawyer. I actually thought that was Blanche, which was why I was so.
That was Marcus jumping in.
Yeah, okay, so that's her lawyer being like, but it's still enforceable as to her. Right. Is that what he's?
Let's not forget.
Yeah. Even though it's a bad, terrible deal, it's still very much we would like that deal.
Yes, please. Okay. Don't change a thing.
So do you want me to keep?
Let's keep going.
I mean, and just to go just a little further back. I mean, it's just I mean, so implausible that he never had any conversations with her about this life-changing investigation that he was a part of. I was busy with Ted.
And one of her best friends is facing life in prison and just never came up.
Yeah,
Okay.
It's bizarre.
Her platonic life.
It's not credible.
Yeah. I mean, in the world in which, look, if I can imagine a world in which a sexual predator is not advertising to their friends that they're maybe going to go to jail for sexual predation. I could imagine that if she was really just like a surface level friend or something. Right. But if she was involved in the, it sounded like she's claiming she wasn't involved at all, like even as a witness or anything in any of that. Didn't she say that?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Well, they never tried to interview her. They never,
Wow.
Well, they knew. I think they already knew that she was a conspirator. I think they knew that there was no. I don't know, but I mean, I'm a little surprised they didn't try to flip her. I think they probably did try to flip her early on, but who knows? I don't think we know that. So, but yeah, the rest of the clip is actually what I wanted to hear. It's good you went back because that's actually good context for the non-prosecution agreement. Let's keep going.
But I understood. I mean, he never he never enjoined me to the MPA, but I understand that he included me specifically, and I'll tell you why.
Well, it's okay. You don't need to get into that.
No, I don't want to talk about the legal,
Yeah.
what's on appeal. I'm just
No,
the reason for my question, just to be, I'm not trying to hide something. But
Was that Blanche or her lawyer? I still can't tell them apart.
That was Blanche. It was her lawyer that jumped in and said, well, it's okay. You have to get into that, which is smart. That's what he should say.
Because it's pretty crazy to be like, yeah, I had nothing to do with anything, wasn't anywhere. In his plea deal, he did include me. Weird.
Specifically.
So weird that he's like, also
I know he
don't prosecute. Yeah.
Yeah.
And here's why. And she's like all ready with whatever the fuck that excuse is going to be. Here's why. And then her lawyer's like, you don't actually need to say that right now. There's no reason to do that.
Right. That's the David Marcus like redirect, which happens like periodically when she goes a little off the rails.
So good. All right, keep playing.
Yeah.
There's a very strong belief that he got a very good deal, and that he should have been sentenced to more time or got a different sentence from the feds in a non-prosecution agreement. And I'm not asking you to opine on that, but I'm wondering whether he ever talked to you about that. But it sounds like he didn't.
That he got a good deal? No. I think actually, well, his comments that I've read was that he didn't get a good deal, and I think that when he fought it so hard, it's because he didn't think he did.
When he was serving his sentence,
I'm just. Can we stop?
Astonishing.
It's just so.
Yeah.
I mean, first off, he's saying, oh, I'm not asking you. I'm Blanche saying, I'm not asking you about the nature of the deal. It's just these are not appropriate questions for a proffer, like to begin with.
Yeah.
It's so bizarre. Like there's this perception.
Where's this going? I don't understand. Because like, what is he going to be like? Yeah. Did he ever say like, oh, I can't believe I pulled one over on the stupid government. I got the greatest deal of the life. Like, what is the answer he's expecting either way on this? I don't get.
It's this like very weird, like kind of just, let's say, deny everything, say he didn't get a good deal. There's nothing more to see here. Look, we interviewed Ghislaine Maxwell and she said nothing more. And here you go, MAGA world. There's just nothing to be seen here. And it's so odd. It's just such an inappropriate question. Like people don't get asked about their impressions of other people's deals in a proffer. Like it's very odd.
So weird.
It's not, it's so odd.
Yeah, because imagine something taking the form, I'm going to give you time off your sentence if you tell me whether or not you think this other deal was good. That's 5 years off your sentence. How good do you think it was?
Was a good deal anyway, because he fought it so hard. He fought it hard because he was facing serious charges.
Yeah.
Apparently,
well, okay.
and had a lot of money.
Sure, but Matt is she at least representing that accurate? I thought, or no, was it? No, it was Dersh's article where Dersh said he didn't even think he got it. That was his talking point too, Matt.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah,
it was one of his points.
What's that based on? Is that based on?
Well, he didn't think that he should have to do any kind of time. He ended up having to do. Remember, he actually did have to do some time. He really didn't want to do any time. Right. He ended up being able to do the rest of it under house arrest under ridiculous circumstances.
I guess what I'm asking
is totally irrelevant. Like what a defendant thinks of their own deal. Yeah. Like I'm just saying. Like I have represented many people, and many of them have gotten, in my professional view, good deals, and they haven't thought that they've necessarily gotten good deals sometimes, and that happens, and that's the thing. But this is just all around. We're just nonsense. I don't know.
Well, and what's the line of questioning again? Asking her, did Epstein ever talk to you about his deal? What I don't understand what any of this is doing in any case.
And I don't think he never talked to me about it. But also, I knew he fought it very hard, so he must have not thought that he got a good deal. Like, what is this like reductive, bizarre?
Yeah, she references like, oh, do you hear his like she saw on the news that he fought it or something. And I can't help but wonder if she's talking about Dershowitz's article.
I was wondering that too.
I kind of think it might be because like that.
Right.
Although because we don't have any primary quotes right now. I mean, maybe they're somewhere, but that came from just Epstein saying, did he link something? I don't remember what, but he just asserted, well, the deal wasn't a sweetheart deal. See, even Epstein hated the deal that, again, just for the record, we've covered it. The most insanely corrupt, horrible miscarriage of justice in this deal was so good for Epstein. Yeah. It's crazy to talk about it being anything less than the most corrupt bullshit fucking deal for a really, really bad guy to get off with almost nothing.
to remind everybody, he was facing federal life felonies, potentially like enough to put him away for life in the federal system. And they did a non-prosecution agreement so that he would take a guilty plea in Florida to some very minor charges. And he was mad that he had to do any time at all. And I'm sure he was probably complaining for months and months and months that he was going to have to do time on this. I'm sure she heard about it. But no, she read comments in the news. But there was the next part I actually really wanted to get to.
Okay.
The next very short, and then we'll finish it up for this part.
Were you around during that time, like when he was allowed to leave during the day or travel during the day?
I never called him. I never saw him, and I never went to the jail.
Here it comes.
So I'm going to ask you questions that you shouldn't read into them. I just want to know whether they resonate with you. Have you ever had any contact with any representative that you know of from Mossad, the Israeli intelligence agency?
Can you ask me that again?
Have you ever had any contact with an individual that you understand to be from Mossad, an Israeli intelligence agency?
Well, not deliberately.
What does that mean?
Not deliberately.
Okay. And did you know, we talked about this a little bit earlier, but just to put a finer point on it, did you ever know that were you ever told, do you ever think that Mr. Epstein was getting any money from any intelligence agency, including Mossad?
Well, I don't believe so, but I wouldn't know. I mean, I would be very surprised if he did. I don't think so. No.
Okay.
We've talked about a lot of names.
I just want to point out, again, categorical denial that he worked for the FBI. Doesn't remember if he worked for the CIA. And yeah, I'd be kind of surprised if he worked for Mossad. I don't think so. And I never was contacted deliberately by I don't, what does that mean?
No,
I took that just to be like, when you're like, have you ever talked to a Russian spy? Well, maybe they talked to me and I didn't know they were a Russian spy.
Yeah,
I took it to be that.
Not on purpose.
I mean, but I also think any reasonable prosecutor investigating would say, well, can you explain what you mean by not deliberately?
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Well,
Mm-hmm.
I've interacted with a lot of people. I believe that maybe at some point one of the individuals I interacted with, was explain yourself. It was just very odd. It's very odd and very cagey.
The whole
not
thing.
deliberately, as opposed to not to my knowledge,
Right.
I think it's actually not that I know of.
Right.
Not deliberately was a bit odd.
Like I went on a date with a guy once, and like after the date, he's like, "Oh yeah, by the way, I work for Mossad." Didn't mean to go out with him, but I had that conversation. That happened. I don't know. I mean, it just, again though, but the links to Mossad, there's, and again, other people have done a lot of work on this. I don't want to get into like full-on conspiracy theories with facts that we can't prove, but there's reason to believe that and even Dershowitz basically acknowledges in an interview, and he doesn't categorically deny it in the Wall Street Journal article. He says very much what she says here, that like it didn't seem like he was that kind of guy that would do that. But there's another interview where Dershowitz is like, yeah, I don't know, it's possible he could have. But yeah, so we should move along here to one of the other major questions hanging over all this about how she believed he died. She's got a couple more clips here, and we're almost out.
Mm-hmm.
And that's going to be at 3:44.
Yeah, I had that too. So interesting. I go a little early just in case here.
Do you think that the third point you say, which is kind of a failure by the BOP, there's been there's an OIG report, there's an SDNY investigation about that. Do you think he did not die by suicide, given all the things we just talked about?
I do not believe he died by suicide, no.
And do you believe that, do you have any speculation or view of who killed him?
No, I don't.
And I ask that because...
Why the fuck would he... Anyway.
If you don't believe that there's any truth to the allegations of blackmail, or that he had kind of a list, or that he had reasons to have people hate him, why would somebody kill him in prison?
No reason that anybody would hate him, that's for sure.
In prison,
This is incredible.
So good.
They will kill you, or somebody can pay a prisoner to kill you for $25 worth of commissary is about the going rate for a hit with a lock today.
So that goes to the third reason, which is kind of the mismanagement
Yes.
or the shortfallings or shortcomings of the Bureau of Prisons.
Yes.
Which is a little bit different than my question is, which is, do you think there's somebody on the outside of prison? So putting aside what could happen on the inside, on the outside of prison, who wanted him dead so badly that he would have, or she would have, caused him to be killed on the inside?
I think I don't see that. I think, is it possible? Of course it's possible, but I don't know of any reason why, and I don't believe in the blackmail or in any of this. I don't think
He just pissed off another prisoner who spent $25
if
of
it is
hard-earned
indeed
commissary
murder, I
money
believe it
to
was
put a
an
hit on
internal
him.
situation.
Yeah, so you don't have any
Well, he was in
reason, first-hand
isolation, like, the
knowledge, or
whole
even
time.
speculation, it sounds like, to think that that he was killed to kind of silence him or to keep him from going public about people he knew about.
I don't. No, because I think that is just part of the story that's been created that started back in 2008-9.
What?
Okay.
This
Yeah, I
is
mean,
the
that's
best.
the point. Like, I don't think there's
But
value in
the story about his
talking,
suicide
there's been a
started in 2008.
No, the story about
2009.
him being a blackmail person.
Right.
That
No,
that
I know.
legend,
All right,
yeah.
fine. Yeah, no.
But
fair enough.
this is incredible. I don't understand why she's saying she doesn't think he killed himself. Like, I get.
Yeah.
The only thing I could think of is, go ahead, Liz.
I mean, so first I want to say, so a little earlier, we didn't do this clip, but a little earlier in the transcript, just a few pages before this, right? She gets asked, "Do you think that he killed himself?" And David Marcus says, "Hey, can we take a minute?" And so I just note
Yeah.
that. I note that it's a little
Yeah, it's getting about time to. Oh, that was my stomach. Let's go eat.
Normally you don't try to take a break it's totally normal to take breaks and proffers. Normally you don't take a break right after a prosecutor asked a question.
Yeah, it's kind of a tell.
It's a little let's just say that's not a I don't think anyone's experiencing indigestion. I'm just going to throw that out there. So a conversation happened there between Ms. Maxwell and Mr. Marcus, and she came back in there, and then, unless I missed something, I would just also note that Todd Blanche's question already presumes that she's going to say, "No, I don't think he killed himself." Like, he already knows the answer.
Oh, really? I'm
So
not remembering.
if we just
What
go
was the
back
wording?
to that, he
Matt, do you
says,
have the transcript?
Yeah, it's
he says, do you think he did not die by suicide, given all the things we've talked about?
Yeah.
Do you believe that he did not, given all the things it sort of presumes?
I think you could interpret that as the later question that comes, which is, hey, this is so funny because I think even Todd Blanche accidentally has to be kind of a lawyer here, where he's like, so given all, I think he's saying, so given all that we've talked about, as in he's never done a crime, he hasn't blackmailed anybody, there's nothing to see here. In light of all that, so how could you think that someone came to kill him then? I think is what he said. I think that's him alluding to the next question he asks, which is what I said, which is like, who wants to kill him in this world? In the world she's built, that in her theory, where he's never done anything wrong, he's not blackmailing anybody, he's not, like,
been duped.
Who is coming to kill him? And she's like, well, like you joked, yeah, there's probably a fight in the food line or something. Like, what is she trying to say is the reason that someone would have killed him? It doesn't make any sense.
He cheated at Monopoly, obviously, with somebody in prison, right? So,
Yeah.
No, I mean, and again, this is amazing to me because all you have to do is fall back on the fact that he's the most notorious child sex trafficker, in human history, at least in modern history.
Oh, I know. You know what?
She could say that.
She could have done that. Yeah,
he's
she could have
pending
said,
charges. They all believed
everyone
it.
thinks that he's a
and these people aren't popular in prison, and this is what happens, I guess.
Okay,
she could have easily fallen back on that.
So this is my theory on this, and I don't have a great theory because it doesn't make any sense. None of this makes any sense.
Okay.
So I do think the way that he asked the question, because he seems to sort of be feeding answers. Do you believe he did not die by suicide, given everything? I do think that he kind of knew. I think that David Marcus potentially previewed this to Blanche. There would be nothing inappropriate about that. I often will preview, and even in particular, I will often preview some problematic statements my clients might make in advance of a proffer to kind of blunt them a bit, right? Listen, he's not going to be able to admit that he did, this in that way, or, in his view, the co-defendant was much more responsible. And I think that's something I want you to know. So I think that I really do think that Blanche knew this. I think that, as I say,
you're right. Yeah.
I think that Marcus anticipated. So I think, and this is just my theory, I think that of all the things that Ghislaine Maxwell is kind of doing and looking at this, I think she has this long, important relationship with Jeffrey Epstein. I think she was devastated by his death. I think that she profoundly believes that he did not die by suicide. And I think that I think that she absolutely believes that. And I think that in whatever conversations, again, I'm totally speculating here, David Marcus had with her to prepare this, she's unwilling to let go of that. And I think that, they kind of sort of tried to, I think that what she came up with, or however her, she decided, was trying to come up with an answer that both kind of acknowledge this thing that I think she's unwilling to let go, which is she does not think this man killed himself, but in a way that sort of minimized the blow. So it's like, okay, MAGA conspiracists, he didn't kill himself, but it was just some internal jail thing. And there's nothing more to see here. It was just a random jail thing. It wasn't because there's a bigger fish out there. There's nothing more to look here. There's nothing more to say. There's no more other co-conspirators, so on and so on. That is my theory.
Yeah, I think I disagree with just the first part of that, because I think the second part of your answer tells me, like, well, then why do you think she really believes it then? Because my theory is everything you said at the second part, except I don't think she really believes he didn't kill himself. I don't think that makes any sense. Because I think if she really believed that her friend didn't kill himself, wouldn't she have a more specific reason as to why? Like, don't you think if this was a genuine belief of hers, that you'd be like, no, there's no way. It must have been someone. Maybe there was an argument. Not just like, well, in my prison, you could order a hit, which takes 5 minutes to say someone could order a hit on someone for $25. Like, it's nothing. She has nothing. Absolutely nothing in terms of the explanation. My theory is that it's because this is the one thing Trump did point to, where he's like, hey, a lot of people are saying, oh, I don't kill himself. So, like, I feel like maybe her and her good lawyer are like, well, let's mirror what Trump said on that, because we want to make sure we're always in Trump land, because Trump is the one guy that can do anything. Because I don't know. That's, again, we're both just speculating.
That's actually totally fair. I think that's a totally fair theory.
Mirror it, but say nothing. Let's just not.
Yeah, exactly. And I think, Matt, you thought of a way better lie, if that was, or was that, I can't remember, the way better lie of what she could have just pointed to, like, well, even though he was a saint,
right?
According to Ghislaine, even though she, like, at times will say, like, oh, I don't deny he's awful, he did terrible things, and then later she denies he's awful and that he ever did anything terrible. It's kind of weird, but yeah, she could have just said, you know what happens to people who are perceived to be sex offenders in prison? Done.
Sure.
Yeah.
Answer over.
Blanche even kind of sets it up by being like, well, some people just might have hated him. It's like, well, yes, there might be people who hated Jeffrey Epstein. Yeah, that was in the clip. Yeah, no, I mean, just come on.
I might have interpreted that as him saying the outside forces. Again, it's just so, and again, we know that the thing that is, a little hard to square with anyone who wants to have a conspiracy theory about his suicide is that he attempted suicide like twice, right? At least twice.
Right.
And was put in the suicide protocol after the first attempt. That doesn't really strike me as, like, if people were trying to kill him, that seems not, like that doesn't seem consistent with that to me at all. Now maybe if it was maybe people helped him kill himself, I guess that could be, but I still don't know, based on how that went. I don't know. I just don't see it. But anyway, we've done that point, unless anyone had anything more to say.
Quite a bit.
But it's a crazy position to find herself in, to try to triangulate. He never did anything wrong. Yeah. There's no one who would want to hurt him. He didn't kill himself. It was a prison issue.
It was a $25 prison issue. Like
run of the mill prison hit. Weird. Okay.
All right. So we're going to move on to, we're hardly going to talk about day two. Day two is so much blather and filler and talking about other people and just like going through things that just don't matter. I don't want to deal with, but the money. We got to talk about the money.
Okay, but we're not going to day two without going to the very end of day one, when she gets in a very nice last. She wants to go out with a Trump ass kiss.
Yes.
So let's see here.
How did I skip that? Yes.
I had it.
Obviously, say definitively that is what it is. I would like to show you what I see. so that you can evaluate it and do with that as you
But she's
see
promising
fit.
to come back with
If
her
it
evidence
needs to be
tomorrow.
addressed, I've seen it. It struck
Oh, wait.
me, and I would like to give it to you
Sure.
for what it's worth.
Okay.
Does
I
that
might have
seem
gone
something
too
that
late.
I
Yeah,
can...
that's fine. Yeah, of
I,
course.
I don't like
Yeah, okay.
I might have gone too
how I
late. Sorry,
think
let's go back.
the president
Yeah, go back
Yeah,
a little
oh, I
bit.
did. Okay.
into
A
some of
little
this.
bit more.
And then, like I said, that'll take us through lunch tomorrow, and then we'll be
Yeah,
done.
because he's
I'm
announcing the
not.
schedule for tomorrow.
I don't have a plan. I didn't know that
Nope.
I was coming here until this week. Okay, so I'm not.
I just got
there
this
isn't
mic
like
to
a,
work. I don't know where to
we
even
don't have
put
like a
this for the
schedule of what happens
podcast.
next or what happens. But
release
that's
schedule.
not a negative thing. I'm just saying that's so you shouldn't take the lack of a next step as anything other than we don't have
Like
a
and
next step
subscribe.
yet.
Are
So
you negotiating a merger? What is
May I
going
say
on?
something?
of course, yes.
I just would
There we
like
go.
to put out there that I also focused on how I think the president got swept into some of this unnecessarily, by the way. And I'm not a conspiracy theorist, and I certainly don't subscribe to all of everything that I see, but I do believe that there is animus in some areas that may have contributed to how the use of the president to harm him that I find deeply offensive. And whilst I can't obviously
Whilst.
say
Yeah.
definitively that that is what it is, I would like to show you what I see so that you can evaluate it and do with that as you see fit. If it needs to be addressed, I've seen it. It struck me,
What?
and I would like to give it to you
Sure.
for what it's worth.
Okay.
Does that seem something that I
Yeah,
can...
that's fine. Yeah, of
I,
course.
I don't like that.
Yeah, okay, that's fine, that's great. Okay, so why don't we stop for today? I'll give you a little.
Yeah, that's fine.
She's like, look, I hope you don't mind me saying this. Your president is a saint and I love him. And I will not hear a bad word about him. And I think some very sinister people. I love too as a convicted sex trafficker, am offended by the efforts of the deep state against my God and Savior King Trump here.
Incredible.
It's so funny to go out on the. It makes sense. Like honestly, I get why she's doing this. Like in her position, but yeah.
Okay, like alien anthropologists who are watching this 3,000 years in the future, just understand this was the president's defense attorney being sent down in his role as the top deputy for Department of Justice to ask this woman these questions to get this answer. To get this answer of her saying the president did nothing wrong. That's the entire purpose of this interview. I just have to reiterate that again. I know we started here, but it's insane.
And I love
think
the
that
idea
I think that's
okay.
right. And I just also want to note that I think that sort of her putting a closing spin on that, I think probably shows some very good preparation by her defense attorney. I think about when I go into proffers, I sort of often, and this is, but it's a bit like you're watching something that you prep someone for extensively unfold, and ultimately they have to kind of do it in their own words and in their own way. But you might kind of say, what I think is really important is, making sure at the very end that you apologize and say that you made a very big mistake. You didn't
Well, not
mean to
here, of
hurt the
course.
individuals that you
Yeah,
did, or
right.
something like that, right?
Yeah.
And as I say, like, because you look at what the goal is of the proffer, right? And the goal is to, in many of them, accept responsibility and apologize, right?
Yeah.
In this one, the goal of this is to pander
Trump's
to
ass.
Donald Trump and kiss
Yeah.
his ass. And so she's going back to, I think, I'm just speculating. I have no knowledge of how she was prepared for this, but just the kind of talking points that she was given, which was, make sure to acknowledge your appreciation for Mr. Trump, make sure to acknowledge that this was all a big, conspiracy, acknowledge the animus that he's faced, and make note that you've even brought your own materials, your own thoughts, and you're going to want to show them.
You know what's incredible about that? First off, yes, to everything you said, 100%. And also, I love that too, because she sounded like the crazy conspiracist that's like, sometimes in our email inbox, I'm going to show you this proof that I'm going to bring it tomorrow. What is she talking about? I've listened to both of it. I don't even know what she's talking about or referencing, or if they looked at it or what. But the other thing I love about that is if Trump weren't such a a person who needs flattery all the time. If he wasn't that person, it would make so much more sense and would be so much smarter for these evil people to be like, yes, well, I'm not a fan of Trump. I don't support him. I don't support his policies. He's just, he's not my cup of tea, but I got to tell the honest truth. I never saw him do anything wrong in front of me. He was, I would love to be able to tell you that he was a bad guy, but he's great. He was, he was always polite around me. And it's just so funny how fascist these people are that you can't do that. Like, she knows the way you have to do it is kiss his ass. And a thing that I don't think he's going to listen to it. I think he's just going to like get the word from Blanche, right? I mean, like, I can't imagine him actually hearing this, but I just think that's funny to me. Like, I think that this is, and it's disturbing too, because you see this out of like grown ass adults now that are not just grown ass adults, but are people who running our government that have to do this kiss ass thing to dear leader. That's like, it's so pervasive that in this scenario, when it would probably be better for Trump to be able to say like, oh, I was never a fan, I'm a liberal, or something, so that she has more credibility to us, the people he needs to convince. He can't do it. Still have to kiss his ass. Oh, he's so amazing. It's amazing that he became president. It's just, he's a hero. Do you have can you sign something for me? He's so great. Can that be a pardon? Can you sign this pardon for me?
No, it is true that you have to say not only that he's a great.
No.
Oh, we lost Matt. No, Matt's green.
Screen.
He's turned into Kermit the Frog. Yeah, I'm seeing his internet seems not. Oh, he's gone. Okay. He'll be back. I don't remember. Oh, he was going to start the second day. But why don't we, as he gets reconnected, did you have any more thoughts on that?
No, I mean, I just to your point of like whether the kind of point that she said indicating that she was going to bring some materials or had some documents or things like that. I would note a bit earlier what kind of ultimately prompted, what prompted this was Todd Blanche saying, I understand from your lawyer, you've brought some materials. And, when we're done tomorrow, we'll give you a few minutes with Mr. Marcus if there's anything you want to show him that would go to us. So I just think it's worth noting, like, I mean, this proffer is ostensibly recorded and it's all on, very poor audio, but there's certainly things that could have happened, conversations that could have happened. I would say off the record, not during the recording. Whatever she brought was obviously not something that.
Yeah. Wouldn't they have put that in the website? Like as a,
yeah,
here's the thing she brought. I don't know. I wonder what bullshit that was.
Maybe it was a sort of, I can't imagine. I can't imagine what she would bring
in the
to indicate that she thought that this is very offensive to her and it's all about animus to President Trump. I can't imagine what she personally would bring coming from prison in Tallahassee, but I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah. What is even the theory? Because it's got to be it sounded like she's bringing the proof of why people had it in for Trump or something. And what? So is it going to be here's where this guy said something bad about Trump, so therefore, or something,
it's totally bizarre. I have no idea.
Yeah. Well, the proof of like when, for example, when the fascists were doing fascism on the law firms or whatever, that was like the proof of the misconduct or whatever of their sins of the lawyers was that they worked on the investigation or were part of. Remember that? Like,
right.
Part of DOJ, some loose way, barely connected.
Right.
Yeah, to investigations against Trump. And I feel like it could be some of that bullshit, where it's like this person is connected to this person's connected to this person, some weak crap like that.
Exactly. But again, totally odd and bizarre and completely inappropriate for a proffer.
Yeah.
Like bringing in like your own personal speculative conspiracy about this. This is why this is just animus about it's just very odd. So anyway.
Yeah. All right. Well, Matt, nuclear bomb hit Matt's office. No, a little computer trouble. We've got Matt back now to round it out. We had Liz and I had a little bit of a discussion about that last clip, but we can move on. What was the next thing you had here? We're going to talk about the money, right?
The money. We got to talk about the money.
I would just say I'm very, very glad that Matt's on my own mind went through all sorts of conspiracy theories.
Yeah.
Someone coming to his office and taking him, anything like that. We texted him during the break numerous times.
He's never done anything wrong in his life, but a lot of people want to kill him. So I'm just going to say.
And it was eerie for a moment or two. I thought that maybe a freak storm hit Massachusetts. I mean, who knows, but
Do I
So
need to
glad.
recrop you, Matt, or can you move slightly?
So glad to have him
your
back
side?
on.
No,
Well,
go
yes,
the other way.
Can't wait for you to both lie your asses off about my disappearance.
Now you're further off the camera. Can you go the other way? Hey, there you go. Okay.
Yay! He's really here.
Well, let's talk about how Ghislaine Maxwell made all of her money. Because
Maybe it's
I
a
still don't
changeling
understand it.
Matt.
Oh, I love
Anyway.
this. This is so good. I love this
It's
part.
so good. It's so good.
So much good stuff. It's at 4:25, like hour 4.
Oh, I
second
had.
25.
All right, let's hear the
I
money.
don't-
I'm so excited about this.
It, in the realms of possibility, it could have, but I have no memory of it, and I don't believe that it's how it went down, but I don't want to.
Okay, so I want to talk about, we talked a little bit yesterday about the financial part of your relationship with Mr. Epstein, kind of being on payroll, for lack of a better word, for many, many years, starting around $25,000 and ending up at around $250,000 per year. There's, as you know from your trial, there's banking information that shows a ton of money being sent to you from Mr. Epstein over the years, I think totaling something like $30 million, something like this.
We are skipping past it, but I just I did another laugh out loud moment was she started her off early on with 25,000. Oh, I made 25,000, and then like later on he's like, so then what were you making by this point? She's like, oh, I'm 250. 250? Yeah, it's just
add some zeros.
$1,000. She tries to like downplay.
Which
went from 25,000 to $250,000 a year.
Right. And
Just go
even
ahead,
if
Liz.
it's, I was gonna say, even if it's $250,000 over the course of 20 years, that comes.
No, it was per
nowhere.
year. It was.
Yeah,
She
it was
got to.
Right.
That was like he asked her like,
Exactly.
what was your salary toward the end, and she really tries to down to the point where he's like, sorry, what was?
It was very funny, and then I mean, also the math doesn't math in terms of, I mean, however.
Oh no,
like,
yeah.
200
So
yeah.
we're gonna
30
do math,
million.
not math here. I just want
When I can tell the math isn't mathing, then we got problems.
Yeah, no, that's exactly it. I was like,
Something's going wrong.
Why was that money sent to you? Like, what was that for?
Well, first
did
of
I
all,
miss it?
I dispute the
Oh, he just said a lot of
characterization that the money was sent to me.
Okay, so tell me what I am stuck with the witnesses at trial and what was said at trial on
That's
that
amazing.
issue.
I'm
So
sorry, I have to acknowledge what he just said. I'm
Right, I
stuck
think
with
we
the
need-
witnesses at trial.
Yeah.
I just also have to acknowledge like
Amazing.
how casual this conversation
Yeah,
is. Like,
It's incredible.
if I brought in someone and any other normal proffer, actually, it's not, and the prosecutor said, you had this amount of money transferred to you, I dispute that characterization. Like, it's the level of casualness, level of how comfortable she feels almost joking with him and they're laughing is not, that is not such stuff that I'm not saying that there isn't maybe a moment.
Client, Liz, the run-of-the-mill your client tries to say, well, I dispute that they found me with the money. Like,
Proffer over. Proffer is over.
Proffer is
over. They're like, we can end this right now.
So
we don't
much
need to talk
privilege going
anymore.
on right here.
If you're not going to acknowledge basic facts that have been found. I mean, the other thing is, whenever past convictions are brought up in proffers, so sometimes in proffers, they'll ask my clients about past convictions on their rap sheet, right? Because they kind of put this in the context of, this is okay, but you had this previous violent crime and now you're doing this thing. Like, how do you, if my clients are basically, one of the ground rules is you really can't dispute prior convictions. Like, that's not something, that is something, because it's just seen, it's almost like,
because the government, in the government's mind,
because
it's like,
they're
that's a fact.
That's it. It's a fact.
Yeah.
It's a fact. So like the fact that you're relitigating the facts of a prior conviction.
4 hours now. 4 hours of relitigating.
It's just so, it's again, one, so bananas. And then like these particular, like the little sort of, I dispute and you feel comfortable doing this and we're all laughing and it's jokey. This is bizarre. I don't even know. I don't have words for this.
Having read the transcript, I didn't know about the laughter till I just heard it, and that was really something.
Oh, wow.
We were all laughing at the same time with them because we all understand
I
it's
actually
funny.
want to go back just a little bit to hear. I think I missed.
Possible that I might have asked someone from there.
I don't know exactly what you said yesterday.
So in the realms of possibility, it could have, but I have no memory of it, and I don't believe that it's how it went down, but I don't want to.
Okay, so I want to talk about, we talked a little bit yesterday about the financial part of your relationship with Mr. Epstein, kind of being on payroll, for lack of a better word, for many, many years, starting around 25,000 and ending up at around 250,000.
Sorry, I know it's a minor thing. She was on payroll. Like, that wasn't for lack of a better word. She said, like, literally, I was on a W-2 or whatever. That is the word. You don't need a better word.
Per year. There's, as you know from your trial, there's banking information that shows a ton of money being sent to you from Mr. Epstein over the years.
You were sent a lot of money.
I think totaling something like $30 million, something like this. What's the why was that money sent to you? Like, what was that for?
Well, first of all, I dispute the characterization that the money was sent to.
That was evidence at trial.
Okay, so tell me what I am stuck with the witnesses at trial and what was said at trial on that issue. So what is what do you dispute about that?
Well, I believe I don't have full recollection. I'm not even sure I ever saw what they accused me of, but my belief is that money also contained money that was for a helicopter, for instance. That I never owned and I was never mine.
A helicopter, for instance, is so good.
Incidental purchases, you know.
I like just picking one of the many, like, massive things that could be. The one was a cruise ship, and one was like, for instance. But I just, for the listeners, I see a look of true disgust on Liz's face, and I really, like, honestly, I mean, I feel like maybe give us more of the context of, like, this is just some absolute bullshit, right? I mean, the kid gloves that she's being treated with.
Absolutely. I mean, that's just it's just what I mean. It's insane. That she is able to relitigate past evidence from a trial where she was convicted of some of the worst crimes that you can be convicted of, and do it kind of laughing and say, it is unheard of. Like, this would never in any of my clients, anything like that. And anyone who goes, it is taken as a given that these things are true. Right. Your past conviction.
It's the record, right? It's like literally the
record.
Yeah.
It's the record. You didn't dispute them at trial, and then he says, I'm stuck with, I'm stuck with the witness at this issue, and what do you dispute about it? And then, oh, well, I don't even have a full recollection. I mean, again, this would be game over in any other proffer.
Yeah. She's trying to make out, we'll play more of it, but she's trying to make out like, well, and like, God, I'm trying to be fair. Like, is there a sense in that, like, if he was the money guy, he's using her accounts for, like, some part of the business or something? I just think this all would have been clear at trial, right? Like, they would have done whatever the legwork was of showing this or not, right? Am I crazy? It feels like no one in this situation knows the facts that were in trial is what's crazy.
Also, right. And that's the other thing, is that also how casual he is. Again, because there's no prep done for this. I think there's something like, I don't know, it was a ton of money. Something in the range of 30 million. I dispute the characterization that the money was sent to me. I mean, also just as an attorney, you would say, well, the money was sent to you, right? So you're saying that you didn't use, it wasn't all gifted to you. It wasn't all salary. It was, some of that money was used to do other things, right? And then, are we playing the bit that follows?
Here we can keep going.
Let's do that, because
Matt, sorry.
I just had to point out one thing. Well, you just made me think of it. The prosecutor who actually prosecuted this case not that long ago in 2021 is no longer with the department because she was fired. Maureen Comey's daughter. And
it was Comey's daughter.
She should be there. Wow. In a normal such circumstance, she's the one who prosecuted. Right. She's the expert on this case. Nobody knows this case better than her, and would be able to get in her face and say, no, I've seen those records. What are you talking about? Wow. Right? I just want to point that out. That she was fired just before this.
This is fucking crazy.
Oh,
Look, if this was an example, I don't know what's going on here, but if this was an example of, well, there was a credit for 40 fucking, 10 million, and then I had to reimburse the 10 million, that, like, they would know that, right? Like, they wouldn't, you can't be of the excuse that, oh no, that wasn't all, some of it was helicopter money that just came through my account, and it went right into the... A helicopter, for instance, is so
the helicopter's going to come back.
That's exactly right.
It's my favorite.
It should have been Maureen Comey doing
Matt.
this.
Yeah.
But it certainly, and it also shouldn't have been. It also shouldn't have been the deputy AG doing it.
No, of course not. What a waste of his time.
Notably, the other person who prosecuted this also is Andrew Warback. He's one of the people that was fired because he also did the Eric Adams prosecution.
Right. His mistake.
Right.
Or he was, I'm not sure if he was fired or he was put on sort of like, he then resigned. He ultimately, was
part of the purge of the
SDNY,
purge. Right, which was, but yeah, and also I just checked. Maureen Comey was fired on the 16th. This interview is happening on the 25th. We're on day 2.
Oh, wow.
So yeah,
the-
July 16th. And yeah, so this is 9 days before.
same
Yeah,
month.
that's right.
Yeah.
Yep,
So
yep, just
what
wanna be
was
sure
the
we're clear.
ostensible reason for that, or was it
I don't
just
think there
being
really was
related to?
one.
Oh,
They
it was
didn't
just
give one?
it was just because she's related to Comey.
Man,
But I
this
think
is-
they had to get rid of her before they did this interview because there'd be no excuse to not bring her to this interview.
that's
Like, she
really
is-
interesting. Yeah,
She is the
I
person
wonder if
responsible for this. If you're going to make a proffer in a case that you worked on, you're going to be there. Like that's not. There's no
Wow.
reason you wouldn't be there. You would be.
I don't know. I think that gives a lot of credit to the administration. I actually do.
Like that
I
they
think
would think that far ahead.
that they would think that far ahead, or that they care about norms. I mean, because like it's not a norm to have the deputy AG
Oh,
do this. That's
no, that's
proper.
fair.
You're right. The official excuse was that they didn't convict P Diddy of everything.
Yeah,
She was the lead
I
prosecutor
think
in
it was
him,
just. I think it was just pettiness.
Yeah.
I think it gives a lot of credit
You're right.
about like, oh, they should have followed that norm, and I don't.
Yeah.
it-
But I'm just saying, in a normal prosecutor's office, that just
Right.
Oh
never
yeah,
happens.
But
I know. I'm
point
just saying.
taken
I
that
don't think
it's
that's why
still-
they did it.
right. Point taken. That's still outrageous that she wouldn't be here, or
Yeah.
that someone who
Yeah.
fucking knows anything wouldn't
Right.
be here.
Of that.
And
and
also to
instance,
be
yeah.
clear, when I say credit, I don't mean credit. I mean,
Yeah.
it shows
of course, yeah.
forethought. But
No, yeah,
for
I-
a group
I-
of people that are not known for their forethought.
100%. And I think that like we've made it clear on the podcast somewhat, but I feel like if there's anyone watching, like it's hard to emphasize how just outrageous this has been. The purge at DOJ, like I feel like that's gone. It's not in the news anymore. Like nobody, and it's outrageous that that's happened. And we're seeing more of this corruption right here. And it's almost normalized. Like this is so not normal. Like I know the only thing often that we're stuck doing is analyzing it and some gallows humor about it, because that's just what it is to be a person. But like this is outrageous, right? I mean, this is fucking outrageous.
That's why we're doing hours on it, because we wanted people to
God.
understand how just out of control, unusually out of pocket this is. But yeah, we should hear more about the helicopter.
All
though.
right, let's
There's some more jokes coming.
Helicopter, for
How much money was
instance.
sent to you that you then used to purchase things, or?
Well, I'm not even sure that I purchased it. So those accounts would be controlled by his accountants. And,
Even accounts in your name, you're saying, or one of your entities.
Well, I'm not even sure I knew of all the entities. Maybe I did contemporaneously, but I simply wouldn't know today. So if there was an entity, let's say account X, if I really set that up myself, or whether they said we're doing this and the money's coming or whatever, but in no substantive way, I can't think of the right word.
Did you have control of those
I had no
accounts?
control, is what I'm saying.
So when the government, when there was testimony or the government admitted evidence that showed, for example, $5 million in 2002 coming from Epstein to you, okay, what you're saying is that that happened, but that the you there wasn't money, that he wasn't giving you money.
I'm not going to say that for everything, because maybe there were accounts that money was sent to me. But I can say that I know, like the helicopter, I can definitively say. I'd have to look at all of them to be
You could say what?
accurate for you.
The you there
But,
wasn't you.
To explain how or why I could be receiving monies, and I certainly did. So I'm not disputing all of it.
But when you said that, let's go back to helicopter. Why did money have to go into your accounts, or
Yeah, that's my
account that
question.
was controlled by others but in your name, to like purchase a helicopter?
Oh, that's a very good question. I'm not sure I know the answer to that.
I don't know. Who's to say? Who's to say?
This is why.
It's so good. What? How is that even an answer? No, not all that counts, because one of it was a helicopter. Okay, so you're saying he gave you money to buy a helicopter? Is it yours? Is it not yours? Whose helicopter is it? Where did
Great
it end up?
question. That's a
No,
really good
and then-
question. I don't know.
It's like, so take this helicopter. I love that this is such bad lying that
Yeah.
a fucking Todd Blanche has got to accidentally be a good attorney here. What, when you say it's a helicopter,
Right.
like what do you mean? Like who, why would you?
Yeah.
She's like, that's a great question. I have no fucking idea.
Someone bought a
Right.
helicopter without your knowledge with your account. Okay.
Yeah.
Hey,
that's
Glenn,
a
what's
very
the
good
second
question.
step of your lie? Boy, I haven't thought of it yet. That's I'm still working. If you want to get back to me, maybe
Take a break.
tomorrow. Can we do day 3 and I'll think of the rest of that lie?
Well, the money wasn't really transferred. I mean, it's like every step of it's like this very I'm trying to
She's
think
not
of
going to
like
dispute it all.
I just this very interesting. I'm sure they're like I'd love to know like what her response is, like what sort of philosophical sort of like it is like it is not the you is not you. Transfer is not transfer. Control
Yeah,
is not.
look, okay.
It's sort of this like unbelievable.
Yeah, I don't know what's again. I don't know. I'm not familiar with the facts. Oh, good.
Even her own attorney tries to help her. He says, in other words, money was sent to you that you then just used to purchase things. Or no, I'm not even sure I purchased it. I mean, those accounts, they were controlled. And then he says, okay, so she says, okay, will they be controlled by his accountants? Did you have control? I had no control, but why would I have no idea.
Isn't this, okay, first question. Was this her lawyer at trial?
No, absolutely not.
Okay. That makes sense at least. Because like, I would think that, okay, I don't know the facts of the trial. I'm just saying as a hypothetical, I could see if she had a defense that was, well, this guy was the money guy. His whole thing was like doing weird stuff with money, hiding money, whatever. And he used my accounts as part of those schemes. I didn't always know what was going in and around. He had business entities in my name. If that were true, I feel like that's pretty easily demonstrable, right? Like, wouldn't that be part of your defense to be like, I didn't know he did this in my name. Here's why. And I just think that would be so much more clear in her answer. Like she would, and maybe we still wouldn't believe her, but she would at least have her theory from the trial of like, yeah, this entity, this one here, I had nothing to do with that. He made that for me. Yeah, but she's just like, well, it was a helicopter. That's all she has. It's like a helicopter. I don't know what that's even supposed to mean. A helicopter. Like, where's the helicopter?
One major purchase that she remembers.
Yeah.
Because it was
right.
So
Am I wrong about that? Like, why doesn't she have a clearer story there?
It's amazing. Yeah, I don't know.
It's honestly shocking.
Nobody knows. Okay.
I don't really know.
I think the answer is that she made a lot of money doing sex trafficking, and that that's the answer. She has some big explanations.
Well, again, I wonder why.
I just don't know why she just
doesn't have a better lie. Is what I'm saying.
I don't know. Why don't you just say he was a very close friend of mine. He wanted to make sure I was taken care of. He had a lot of money and he transferred a lot of money to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like there's
way better lies there.
That's just like fine.
Yeah.
Okay. Like this had nothing to do with, I did help him with redecorating. I was a close confidant. I was there for him constantly. He lost many friends after the Miami conviction. I stayed with him. He transferred money to me over the years because of my loyalty, because of our friendship, because he had a lot of money. And we all know Jeffrey Epstein was a very generous man. And that was why. You don't have to. It's so weird.
I don't get it. Okay, we'll keep going.
I don't.
So let me ask this maybe a different way that gets to the
gives you time to make
issue,
up more of a
right?
lie.
So the accusation by the government, based upon the evidence they collected, is that Epstein paid you millions and millions of dollars over the years. And the reason why he paid you that is because you were performing an extraordinary service for him by recruiting young women, many of whom were underage, so that he could sexually abuse them. Okay, that's their allegation. Okay.
Well, it's not an allegation. Yeah.
She's convicted of that. Okay.
From what you said yesterday and from what I've reviewed about you and Mr. Epstein, he paid for a lot in your life. Your flights, where you stayed with him. I mean, he didn't expect you to reimburse him along the way for food, and so he took care of you for many years.
That is true.
On top of that, he actually paid you a salary, as we talked about, $25,000 to $250,000. What else did he give you, or what purchase? Like, was there a time when he gave you $1 million or $500,000 as a bonus, or what financial benefit did you receive from him? Besides what we've already talked about, we don't have to talk about what would
I got it.
Okay.
So my goal always was to become independent, independently, financially secure, and work for myself. I've never been one to not work. And in that regard, over the course of my friendship and my working relationship with Epstein, I expressed to him my desire to be independent of him everywhere, just to be freestanding. And that with that in mind, I wanted to have my own businesses or my own money coming in, independent and separate from any salary that I received from him. And I needed that for my self-esteem. I've never been, obviously salary, and it was a very generous one. Please, I'm not belittling the sum of money because it's huge, but
How many years of $250,000 salary does it take to be independent? Like, I'm just curious. Because I'd think like 0.5 of one. Like, you can invest in a business with a lot less than $250,000. Like, I don't, anyway.
Yeah,
Also,
sob story.
$250,000 in like 2000? That's a lot of money. Or
Yeah,
like
when
1991? I mean,
right.
I don't know. Whenever she starts getting paid, it's a lot of money.
Pre-Bidenomics. No, I'm just kidding.
It's a lot of money now. Let me be clear.
I
love a
$250,000 both a lot of money
$250,000
then and now. And I love this. Like, I've always been taught the hard work. It's just like, okay.
It's just so, I mean, I've always been independent. I've always worked this whole,
So therefore, I needed
you worked for your father's businesses and maybe did some work. I don't know. And then you worked for Jeffrey Epstein. Redecorating his homes is the most, no.
She grew up with so much wealth.
It's just really
it's
astonishing.
such a long way of saying, well, I took some of the money with him and, he lent me money for businesses for other stuff. Like, why are we going through all this rigmarole? It's so funny. But I have a Trump ass kiss note coming up soon. I'm excited for this.
Brought up to be my own, the first time. So I would either propose businesses to him or he would actually suggest, why didn't I do something? And the first deal that we did, or the first business that we had, or I had, and that he financed for me. So he loaned me all the money to enable me to do this, and then I reaped the profits, which I don't remember now, because we varied over the deals that we did, that I would give him 50% or 25%. It was sort of, it was random. And I can tell you what it is. So,
go ahead.
So it was in Palm Beach, actually, and it was in real estate, and they sold what was the grounds originally of an estate called the Phipps Estate, and then they converted the land that came with that estate into houses, and I did, I think 2 or maybe 3, I can't remember now, but certainly 1 and maybe 2, possibly 3, I don't think so, I think 2, that then were flipped and there was a profit. So that would be an example.
FYI, I misread my notes. The Trump ass kiss is exactly like an hour from now. So let me know when you wanted to stop, Matt. How far?
We're going a little further. There's more helicopter talk.
But I just note how weird her language is. Like, we did
so
too. It's just like, just say, I bought 2 houses and then I flipped them for. It's very odd phrasing.
It takes forever for her to get through these stupid lies. Like, it's just like, oh, I don't know. It's just, it's like, come on. Spit it out. This is like 1 minute of answer for a half hour.
And you're remembering that you flipped 3 houses? Like you flipped land into 3 houses. That's how you made millions and millions of dollars. I mean, I guess
it's very odd. It's very odd.
One specific example.
And then there was profit.
Yeah.
There's more coming of this.
Okay. I didn't have
this kind of thing.
So he lent me the funds to do that business transaction, and then I reaped the profits.
And so, but when
millions of dollars.
When a financial investigator, like the FBI, looks at accounts, they don't know kind of the conversations you're having. They just see the money.
Right.
So in those cases, when that happened, when he financed that with you, would he send money to you? So does that explain some of the money? Like, I
think it does. I think, for instance, there were 2 Gullwing Mercedes that they did with Mercedes and Aston Martin. You can look up, I think, if I'm right, that had the doors that would come up like this, that were only very limited number that were made. So I knew that we could get those and would flip them like within 24 hours, for example. Also, here's another example of something
Okay,
that
this
you
is
guys wouldn't have known about. Is I became
She's like, here's another thing you wouldn't know about. I was also a banker. I was a broker. Yeah, okay, great. I mean, but again, this doesn't explain the $30 million. At one point, she's asked about a $7 million check. Again, there's more than we have time to play here, but she's asked about a $7 million check, and she's like, I don't know, maybe that was the helicopter. Again, like, just
Yeah.
keeps coming back to the helicopter.
It's
But
just
Might
like
have been the
also
helicopter.
like what I don't understand though. Like it still doesn't preclude like her like, oh, he didn't really transfer me $30 million. Yeah, well, okay, like yeah,
he did.
it doesn't make
That
any
happened.
it's like she's just like saying random financial transactions and saying like, oh, see, like they didn't notice that I also like paid my cell phone bill.
Yeah,
And
is she trying to say like the net amount? Like I feel like they would have talked about that, or at the very least, if not, it's still like someone giving you millions of dollars to do a business thing. Even if you cut them in on the profit, it's still someone giving you millions of dollars. But I guess is her whole thing? No, it's just not about the sex trafficking. Is that
There's
what
always
the whole thing she's trying to accomplish? Is all this other and like
legitimate business.
I find it believable that she was also doing whatever else this crap was. I don't know.
Yeah.
You know,
You get
sure.
money to throw around.
I don't understand why you just don't have a more simple explanation for
Yeah.
all this stuff. And I
Yeah.
would just note, you know, in the sex trafficking case, like she's not charged with money laundering, right? Like that's not a charge in it, which money laundering is often included, right? Receiving, basically receiving, funds for criminal purposes in some very, that's not included as a charge, right? Interestingly, and that's maybe something they could have added as a charge. You see it in a lot of cases. And so I don't know what the point is. Just say like we did a bunch of, some of the money, I don't know. We did a bunch of business deals together. He was a dear friend. Sometimes I purchased, well, 1 or 2 times I purchased a house, but we actually split the proceeds. I don't know. It's just very odd.
Yeah.
The examples you give are you flipped some houses and you sold some cars, a couple of cars.
And you also, but
from
also you had
businesses.
no control over your accounts. She also says
Right.
that she has no control, which also is something like, wait, ma'am, are you saying you had no control over your accounts?
Yeah.
He's using your account. I mean, that is, that is
That's what I
also
said
potentially
before. Like that would be a
Right.
clear defense she would have already had or not.
Well,
point.
yeah, yes and no, to a point, actually. So interestingly, you can't have a full head in the sand defense, or you can't have a head in the sand defense for money laundering under federal law. Under New York state law, you can.
Sorry, I didn't
so-
mean it would work as a full defense. I mean,
Right.
she just would have done it all. Like
Still,
she seems like
Yeah.
she's making this up on the spot is what I've been confused
Oh
about.
yeah,
Like,
absolutely. I think
why doesn't
it's
she have a
just-
better story?
I mean, all of this stuff is just us trying to make sense of a thing that makes no sense
Yeah,
because she's just
yeah.
making up lies on the spot, and then occasionally kind of flips back and I had no controls over my account. Actually, I was buying gull wings from this, whatever gull wing is. I don't
I
know.
don't know. Yeah.
So,
Gull
yeah,
wing.
exactly.
cars,
They go like this.
The
Yeah,
car.
you were doing it. Yeah,
Oh,
exactly.
okay.
I'm a
Right there.
gull wing.
Aston Martin, beautiful car.
They do. Yeah. That's like that. Yeah. I've never thought about that before. Okay.
Beautiful first car.
Thanks, guys.
What's next, Matt?
All right, so we're gonna bring this home, but that was just a little taste of the way she explains it. There's so much more with the money; it's so bad. None of it makes any sense. But let's just bring it home here, and as I say, all's
I don't
well
know
with
about that.
Maxwell.
I've got 434 for an ass kiss, and I'll be
Okay.
damned if I'm
If you wanna-
passing up any of these ass kisses.
All right,
what you guys
Something
are
like this.
interested in. But those were the sorts of things that I was looking for him to finance so that I could stop being
Still, this is a half hour
general
later.
manager of a hotel.
Did you,
So I could stop being general manager of a hotel. Is that?
this horrible working
Okay.
class job I had to do.
Yeah, getting 250,000 or something. Is
Rubbing elbows with the common man.
Yeah, weird.
Did you take other trips with some or all of those individuals?
I skipped where she talked about Bobby Kennedy. By the way,
Yeah. Yeah.
You know that was earlier where she was pretty certain on the health guy, the current health guy. Yeah,
You
no, they
cannot-
were pretty close.
They went
And,
looking
like,
for dinosaur bones together.
Yeah, and of all the people she talked about, I feel like
Bears.
that was maybe the most connection that she said. You know, like he's like, no, they were friends, we were friends. Like they were all friends. Like it seemed like there was a lot of connection there. But anyway, we skipped past that.
without Mr. Epstein in later years? Like you said, that was the first time that you kind of been on something like that, and it was an honor, and you were spending time with former President Clinton and others. Were there other, over the years, did you do that more than once?
Yes.
We'll talk about those. Like multiple times, like too many to count, or there are 3 or 4 times? Like how many
So
times?
good. I love
A
this.
lot. I went on a lot of trips. Now, I don't recall all of them, not because I'm trying to be evasive or anything, but I just don't remember them all. And after a while,
lady does
you know,
perhaps too
in
much.
the incredible job that you have,
Methinks.
all of
The
you,
incredible job that you
when
have.
you're so high pressured and you're spending so much time with extraordinary people like you do with President Trump, it can blur. It just does. And there's few things that stand out because at the end it's all just extraordinary. There's cars and sirens and president. It's like, whoa, okay.
So,
You know, like with your boss, President Trump, it's just the amazing. It's, I don't know, it's just unabashed ass kissing, and also why she can't remember anything in particular, because it's just being around these extraordinary people. You know, Todd Blanche, how it goes.
Yeah. No, she as much as says, like, basically the commoners, like later in this, she just says something effective, like basically the commoners just hate P. Diddy and Trump and all these people because they're so luxury, you know, they're so luxurious and glamorous. And she, of course, clearly doesn't belong in this situation, and she's still confused as to what she's doing in prison at all.
Yeah, she multiple times is like, they never even told me what they.
Yeah, no, I mean, I
they
sound
never
like
told
Judi
me what I was
Dench.
convicted of. Yeah,
I sound like
It's
Judi Dench. What am I
weird.
doing here? Yeah,
she says a lot. We didn't dwell on it, but she says a lot. They didn't even tell me what I was trying. They didn't give me everything in discovery. They held back. Like, she makes a lot of claims that, Liz, if one of your clients did that to the government, are they super like cool with that? Are they
Absolutely
gonna be like,
not.
okay?
No. I mean, again, this isn't an innocence proffer. This isn't like this isn't like post-conviction innocence proceedings, or like, I don't know, however, you know, those absolutely, I mean, it's just
Unreal.
not just my client. I just want to be clear, I don't just say this as someone who's a public defender. Like, you can't do that representing anyone in a proffer.
Right.
And go in and do a revisionist history of your past crimes of conviction, the evidence you were provided with, the money transfers, what you were told, what you were not told. Maybe you could like ding your lawyers a little bit, you know, but that's about it.
an actual prosecutor would have walked away hours ago.
No,
hours ago.
Well,
really,
that's a
they would
great
just
point.
say, yeah.
Sorry, that's a good clarification, because it's not as though this is just like a privilege thing, you know, of like, oh, well, the wealthy, you know, they live a different life. This is like, no, even the wealthy, like, this is just because of this insane fucking thing they're doing where they proffer me that Trump didn't do something so that in exchange for something, you know, it's just crazy. This is fucking crazy.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know,
but I'm glad you said that.
I just realized the one thing that would have justified this entire thing would be if she actually said, I know who killed Jeffrey Epstein because he was one of the people in our conspiracy you didn't know about before. That's about it. That's
Like, if that's the only thing that could
Right.
justify this kind
Something
of
at that magnitude, right?
Right,
That would be the bombshell that would bring this out. Anyway,
I don't think we got there. I think we got, what's your opinion on Jeffrey Epstein's deal?
Yeah, right.
So I have another Trump kiss ass here. Let's see what we got here.
So good.
No, I've been around
This is a half hour later.
enormous wealth my whole life, and it's like at some point I'm just like, okay, whatever, I get it, and I don't. And so that's what he did. But Epstein ran New Albany, which included a country club and a golf club and I mean, gosh, your boss is one of the all-time great, you know, businessmen in this area. You know what that is, and he certainly does. So there'd be that, and there was a business that Epstein.
By the way, your boss, you know, like,
he's not your boss.
Yeah,
he's the president. He's not the head of the Department of Justice.
I feel like that's gone.
No,
don't you feel like that norm is gone?
Oh,
like, no matter what happens after this, I don't know, unless we get someone who really wants to restore, you know, all the norms that Trump broke, if we can remember them. But like now the head of the DOJ is just the president's personal lawyer, right? Isn't that what that's kind of where we are now? I seem to remember something about a tarmac and Bill Clinton. I've been yelling about this for how many years? 10? I said, no, it's been about 9 that the Loretta Lynch on the tarmac with Bill Clinton, and that therefore like that one thing was a scandal.
Was a scandal. I forgot about that.
That affected Hillary Clinton because it's like,
so
well,
wild.
you don't understand the email server, and they could have been looking into that, and so you can't have a conversation. It's like, okay. Anyway, that's gone. So so what was the next thing you wanted? Because I had at 5:10, we can skip it, but with that's where she really does the horrible victim blaming about how they were all interested in Epstein. That's awful. What was the next thing you had? I was
just going to skip ahead to the end because honestly, there's 2 hours of filler. Like, it's just, I mean, it's not worth really.
Okay. Let me hit one more thing then, because it's just, again, the absurdity of her defenses of Epstein. This one just struck me in particular.
And
around here.
Yes.
Okay. When was that?
Well, he would come in sometimes and he would like say, oh, like give her a massage here, or he would grab my, but not often. I mean, he did come in from time to time.
Were you ever in a massage room with him with a masseuse that was naked or giving him any sexual favors?
I never saw that.
Okay.
That I remember.
Okay. Did any of the masseuses ever discuss with you giving that they gave sexual favors to Epstein?
No.
Did you ever see an underage girl go into a massage room with Mr. Epstein?
No.
If you had seen that, what would you have done? Would you have left?
I can't even conceive. I can't even conceive of. I can't imagine what I would have done.
All right, I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. Okay. Did you ever
so-
observe?
That was the other lawyer. Yeah.
Let's just also well, that's not
Or the
just
other
it's
guy.
not just the other lawyer. Like
Yeah.
that's her defense lawyer, who's giving her
Oh,
a
it
real
was?
steer. Yeah, that's David Marcus.
Oh shit! I can't recognize their voices, so I thought that was like another of the.
No,
the other
that's
guy
her
that-
defense lawyer. Which I'm like,
Oh, wow.
why I'm glad that. So that's David Marcus coming in there and giving her like a real steer of,
Can
hey,
you just do that? Can you be like, hey, Todd, hold on. Let me take over the questioning.
honestly, in my experience, no. Not to that extent. I think you can you can kind of be responsive to an earlier question. Say, I mean, and this person said this because of this, right? You can kind of do, but the way he just asked this series of directed questions, like that first off, it
Yeah.
it was totally.
I genuinely thought that was another of the DOJ people. That's how weird that
Mhm.
was. Like
no,
like that's how weird that was. Yeah.
It's
Wow,
just
I'm glad you said
yeah.
that. I think I didn't get to the point that I was. Let me try for another second, and if not, maybe I'll move it down.
Mr. Epstein masturbating during a massage.
Oh, this was what I
Yes.
was. Sorry, here, hold on. It was all this. Right. This was just like, just one example of the
Imagine
stupid
what I would
lies.
have done.
All right, I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. Okay. Did you ever observe Mr. Epstein masturbating during a massage?
Yes.
Um,
I mean, when I'd seen him on a massage table, I had seen him masturbate. I don't know if there was a masseuse present, but I've seen him on a
I
massage
see.
table.
Okay.
Sorry, I just.
Did you ever see him?
Like, come on. How plausible is that lie? Have you seen him masturbate during a massage? Oh, yeah. Well, on a massage table. I saw, but I don't, like, what?
It was a massage with no masseuse present.
Yeah, like, oh, sorry, I confused the time that I just happened to see him masturbating on a massage table.
Alone.
Like, that's her obviously being like, well, yeah, duh. Oh, I mean, shit. Not there was anyone around. I don't know. Maybe no one saw. Maybe it was
But
just him.
she thinks it's okay. This is the thing, is like she said several times, I don't think he did anything inappropriate. Don't ask Ghislaine Maxwell what she thinks is appropriate with children. Like that's
Unbelievable.
obviously
I just thought that was
women.
such a
It's-
bad lie. Like, obviously.
It's incredible. But she
Like, I'm
clearly
gonna-
doesn't think that's a
Right.
problem to masturbate in front of a masseuse. Without
Well, I
consent.
think that was just her obviously lying. I think that
Yeah,
was her being like, yeah, and then like, oh, well, on a table, which is just not a plausible mistake that you would make. Like, you just wouldn't be like, oh, I was just talking about that one time that he was just on a table masturbating with no one around.
during a massage
Right.
without a masseuse.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay. Well, that's the
And
end
she
of
says,
my
I mean,
clips.
she
Yeah.
indicates, at least in the previous day, I was just looking back, she indicates around page 94. I had made a note of it, on the previous day that, it's around something like, oh, he starts to get weird. What is she? I want to be correct about this, but she says something very specific about how he um yeah, so Todd Blanche says, at the time, what did you know at the time about him, Mr. Epstein, requiring masseuses to be naked, requiring masseuses to either perform sexual favors for him or to be there if he masturbated? And again, I'm asking you in a 15-year period or 10-year period. I appreciate it's a broad question. And she says, okay, so I don't, in the 90s, never thought that it would, never crossed my mind. I da 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 da. But I believe the subject of the question that you're asking me, I believe it started in the 2000s.
Right. Right.
So
Smooth. Yeah.
Mhm.
Pulled that one off.
Yeah.
Oh, good
Yeah.
times. All right. Well, like I said, that's the last clip I had, Matt. So feel free. Where'd you want
Yeah.
us to go?
Yeah, I also, just some, but just like the idea of using the phrase sexual favors, first of all, for minors, like that's not, it's completely inappropriate. But also, she indicates, and I mentioned this before, but she has a very Clintonian idea that she doesn't think that basically anything short of penetrative sex is a problem with a masseuse, like consensually or otherwise. She basically says that, and a bunch almost calls her out. We don't have to get into it. We don't have to play it. It's disgusting. Let's keep going. Let's close this mess out. So we're gonna get a little closing soliloquy here from Todd Blanche. So again, the financial stuff we talked about was at hour 4. We're going to skip it to hour 6:05 because that's how little I think of this 2 hours. So let's get some closing remarks.
It was like we said, it was the worst victim blaming stuff. So we skipped most of that. But
about, I didn't receive all discovery period, and in fact, very important items were not given to me at all, including witness testimony from grand jury.
So you don't know one way or the other whether it was part of discovery. You just know that you didn't get it. It wasn't part of discovery that was given.
10 seconds. Just going to say, clearly the Wall Street Journal libel suit. You might remember he's suing the Wall Street Journal because they published a thing about the birthday book and about how he's saying this was completely made up and he didn't contribute to it. So there's a bunch of questions about that because, again, a reminder, this is his personal defense attorney, who also happens to be running DOJ, who just wants to get it all on the record that this was made up and she has no memory or no understanding that Trump ever contributed to the birthday book, so they can use that in his libel suit. Okay.
I'm sad that we didn't have time to go over that because there's a lot dedicated to the birthday book.
Incredible.
And that's
incredible.
It sucks. That's even more of a time where she's clearly just, what does she need to do to please Trump to get a pardon? Because she's like, oh yeah, well, there was a book. Do you remember if Trump was, no idea. And then she even alleges, doesn't she say like, oh, I assume it got leaked from some, doesn't she talk about that? Like she goes all in on the birthday book thing, doesn't confirm. She can't remember anyone involved, even though she like organized a bunch of it,
right?
But like can't remember anyone involved. Isn't that weird? Was Trump involved? Nah, I don't think so. No idea. So anyway, yeah.
But I just want to again reiterate the corruption of the fact that this is going to be used in his libel suit. I mean, just think about what that actually means. That the president is suing the Wall Street Journal, saying this is all lies, and has gotten his guy to get this information out on the record so that they can use it. I just really, this is the kind of stuff I've been thinking about for days about how deep this goes, how bad this is.
So far beyond anything like a norm or anything. Okay, keep going on this.
Yeah, he'll finish it up.
Correct. But I'm absolutely sure that the Southern District of New York hid very important pieces of evidence from me.
Just get a real thing about it.
Literally end of proffer.
Yeah, right.
In this case it is, but yeah.
And I assume
all right, fine.
That'd be the walk away.
Because where else would it be? If that's what it is. If it's true.
If the birthday book exists.
Okay. So I'll say it to you, as I've talked a little bit to the lawyer about it. I said to you yesterday that the purpose of what we did yesterday and today was exactly what we did, which is to have a conversation about
He is so uncomfortable. Like, he's not having a good day. I'm just saying.
No, you don't understand. He's going into the thing they used to do at every podcast. Hey, it's conversations like these that more people need to be willing to have on their podcast.
He's like, oh man.
It's so crazy.
I need to go wash my hands.
Yes. The purpose of what we did was what he said. The purpose of this thing was exactly what we did. We just had a conversation. Okay. All right.
And wait, actually, can I go back and ask a question? Sure. What is she talking about when she says, so the Southern District hid very important pieces for me. Yeah. Okay. He just says, okay. Right. He's at this point, he wants to die. Todd Blanche. And then she says, and I assume they leaked it because where else would it be book. If that's what it is?
Right.
So
yeah, it's the birthday.
They're saying that, so she's saying that the Southern District leaked that they, but isn't she denying the birthday book? Like, I don't understand. Like,
no, she's not denying it exists. She just like, acknowledges it exists.
Well, she denying the sort of veracity. I mean, fair enough. Okay.
Mm-hmm. She gets to work in her pet thing about how I wasn't given enough discovery and they hid discovery from me, so I didn't get to see it. So I don't know if it exists. That's basically. Okay. But if it did, then
she does acknowledge the birthday book exists. You just mean the Trump part of it.
Right.
Okay, got it.
She's saying the Trump page of it or whatever.
Right. Okay, I understand. All right.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so like it's weird to be like it's a leak but also not true. Isn't that weird? It can't be both those things, right?
But I don't.
Can't be both a leak and a not Trump. The Trump part is fake.
Right.
Right.
Okay. She's being pretty careful about how she says it. But
Yeah.
It's very challenging to talk about everything we talked about in, in one
He
and a
wants to
half
die right now.
days or in just a period of hours. So I'll talk to Mr. Marcus about kind of what we're going to do next, if anything. There's no, and I'm
We'd
not
love to have you
being,
back.
Coy, or I don't know yet. I don't
Don't
know.
call
So
us.
I have a lot of, we have some work to do. We'll do it with your lawyers to the extent we have questions or follow up. And this has been very helpful. I think it's
So helpful.
It was you who kind of said you wanted to talk, but we gladly accepted. So I do appreciate you being willing to meet with us, and I expect that we'll be in touch soon.
To use this amazing information.
This concludes the recorded proffer interview of Ms. Maxwell. The time is 12:05 p.m. on Friday, July 25th.
Hey, what would you say was proffered? And that
Whole lot of.
boy.
Can I say this? Bullshit.
Yeah.
Can you say a bad word? I don't know.
Can I use a bad word? Yes, that's a bullshit. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Hey, do you think now it could be just that Todd Blanche is, well, I was going to say do you think that was him knowing this is going out to the public on his fucking iTunes?
That's a good question.
It felt like it could be the just kind of being polite or whatever to the person you're talking to, like that just regular interpersonal stuff. But I don't know. That felt a lot like that was for the public. Like that was his, and it wasn't good, but like
Really?
his best attempt. Yeah, because he's like, well, just the goal here was what we did was what, like, who's that? Who else is it for? I mean, short of like the little politeness, maybe it's that. Like,
I don't think so.
Go ahead. Yeah,
because normally like proffers don't end with like an offer. In my experience, it kind of ends like, okay, thank you for coming in here. We appreciate what you have to say, and we're gonna talk to your lawyer probably within a few days, and we'll let you know kind of where things
Check
are.
your references and yeah.
It's actually, I think that's sort of, I mean, I think his is
but
particularly
in your scenario,
awkward.
something has happened, like a proffer has happened, right?
Well, I mean, yeah, this in theory,
in this scenario, nothing's happened.
So a proffer's happened, but I'm just saying, like,
yeah,
fair. I just didn't think it was calibrated toward the public necessarily. I think that's kind of standard. It's like we're gonna kind of you're just not gonna.
He was going into standard form letter response mode of like the end of a proffer session.
Yeah, sincerely, Todd Blanche.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I think that's kind of.
It just came across to me like, because it was such a bullshit proffer session, I was like, why would anyone say this? Like, I felt like he was trying to justify.
That's a fair point.
Yeah, he was like, this is poof. We got a lot. Hey, I'm going to get back to the gang. We got a lot of leads to follow up from everything you've given us today. It's like, what?
You've raised a good question, though. It's a very good question of how much. I mean, I think, because we haven't seen the immunity agreement she signed, so we don't actually know what the terms were. And I think
does it contain a media release?
Yeah, exactly. I think there probably was like a thing of like, we're going to release this, and they knew it. They recorded it knowing it was going to be released. That they're doing a performance, which is not something you're doing during proffer. You're never assuming it's ever going to come out, because why would it ever come out? And but but they couldn't just release selectively. They couldn't just release a couple of minutes of it, because people would be like, well, okay, that's out of context, obviously, right? Even the really good Trump stuff. So I feel like it was going to release all of it. And there's a bunch of, as you see, a bunch of different audio files, and who knows, but that appears to be the whole thing. I don't know. What were you going to say, Liz?
I think it's really hard to say. I think this is so far like off the rails.
Yeah.
It is so far
That's
off
true.
the rails that it's really hard to say. Like in the first instance, in my experience, like, I mean, proffers are never recorded. It's certainly at the state level, and then in my understanding of federal ones, it's oh dear.
It's okay. We lost Matt, but I want to hear your point.
Yeah, in my experience with
well, that's the whole thing, right? If you're going to be like,
they're not recorded.
I'm going to tell you the crimes I've done.
Yeah, it's normally, now let me be clear, notes are taken of them. I've seen notes of proffers. They've been produced. I've seen them in connection with a case where we were representing someone and a bunch of people were proffered see what their knowledge of what he did was, right? This
Mhm.
is a federal case. And so I saw notes of them. I saw, interview summaries and stuff like that, but it's unusual to record one to begin with.
Mhm.
So certainly going into this, obviously everyone knows that, there's indications that everyone knows it's being recorded. So that's a bit unusual. I truly think they were probably taking a, like, maybe we'll release this, like, let's do a wait and see approach, I see how well it goes.
So yeah, even the fact that it's recorded would probably go toward my point that they knew they were gonna put this out, like, right? I
Oh
mean,
yeah, that's what I mean. I do
yeah,
mean
yeah,
that. Yeah. It's
okay,
just
yeah,
unusual to do that to begin with, right?
yeah.
It's highly, highly unusual.
Because usually, like, this is okay, not in this situation, but when it's like run of the mill, criminal proffer thing. This is the, like, literally you're getting the queen for a day thing. You're getting that part because you're gonna say some really, criminal or criminal adjacent stuff in order to tell us what you have, right? So this is like definitionally not the thing you like create a recording of for everybody, right?
Yeah.
All
Yeah.
right. Well, that's
No.
I don't know if you're checking something or what, but we
No.
can I think we can go
I
out
was just
here.
double checking. So I was double checking. I
Sure,
was
sure.
like, has technology changed and they record all federal proffers now? And it's
Mhm.
no. Like, it's
Yeah,
not
doesn't make sense. There's got to be some way because if there's the thing in the beginning where they're like, hey, if you ever contradict this, we can use that, not in a case in
Yes.
chief, but as a thing. So there's got to be some record, obviously, to be
Oh,
able to do
absolutely. So
that, right?
you absolutely do. And I've seen these. Like, so what typically happens is the FBI agents, they take notes in these meetings. Normally it's the FBI agents that do that. And they'll take handwritten notes or even maybe
Or they'll
typewritten, but
type
I think
right next to the mic, like as loud as they can. Yeah, that kind of thing.
and then exactly. And then those notes typically get memorialized into a memorandum. And I've seen those, right? So it
Mhm.
is recorded in the sense of just, and then what you would have happen is you'd have this FBI agent come in and testify if this person was accused of, if this person, quote unquote,
Mhm.
lied under oath. You'd have the FBI agent testify to being present and to being there and what this person said.
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, I don't know. I don't know what happened to Matt, but I think we'll probably need to call it here. It's been long enough. Thank you so much for taking so much of your time, Liz. Really
Yeah.
appreciate it. Closing
It's a
thoughts.
pleasure to be back.
Yeah. Anything else you want to say about this whole thing? This is.
I think, the closing thoughts are, I think you have to look at two things, right? What is Ghislaine Maxwell trying to get out of this? And what is Donald Trump through his emissary, Todd Blanche, trying to get out of this? And I think you just have to look at this proffer as the best attempt of a sort of improv meeting of the minds on that.
Yeah,
I think that's
so
kind of,
weird.
I think that's the only way that you can sort of and obviously it's a little, it's unscripted. But and sometimes things get a little weird, but I think you have to look at it that way. And then I guess I would imagine, and to the extent I understand this, I don't think that anyone again is going to see this who, in MAGA conspiracy land, who's gotten very upset about this sort of stuff and say, oh, well, case closed. Like, Ghislaine Maxwell
Yeah.
says no involvement of Trump. Like, I don't think if you're already sort of on the train of there's something fishy here in MAGA land, this is not going to satisfy you.
Yeah, I think that's why I think Trump would have been hoping she gives someone else up. I think Trump would have been hoping, and maybe Blanche would have been hoping, and that's why they asked, "Hey, Clinton's, hey, anybody else? This one senator guy that I forget his name." I don't know how much they thought this was going to work to clear his name. I don't know. I think Trump always thinks he's going to get away with everything, so maybe he thought that. But also, I think if she had some red meat, like, oh yeah, Bill Clinton, he was on the island, he got a massage. Like, I think they were hoping that happened, and it's just funny to me that she just wasn't going to do that. She didn't give up anything on anybody. Maybe they didn't understand the fact. I certainly wouldn't have guessed that she was going to deny that anything ever happened. Like, it's hard to, again, give up anybody else when the giving up is nothing. There's no criminal activity. So how are you giving anybody up for that?
I think it's tough to say because I do think that David Marcus would have previewed some of this stuff. I don't think that you're going into this recorded proffer on either side, like as Todd Blanche, without knowing roughly the sketch of the sort of things that she's going to say. I don't think you are, right?
Yeah.
I mean, what if she said some really damaging and unexpected things? And there's this recording that now, adds further to the conspiracy that never gets released. I don't know. I
Sure.
think that the broad outlines of things, and I do think the problem with sort of giving someone up or whatever is, again, the whole house kind of collapses. Like, she's so denied. She denied in every respect in her past deposition. Then she's saying that she is in fact guilty of, she knows this because why does she know this? Because she was facilitating all of these crimes, because she was aware of this. And ergo she shouldn't be pardoned because she is a child sex trafficker.
Yeah.
I think she's in, it's a very, again, it's not like in a real tough position, but it's like, it's not obvious what one does here.
Well, now that I think about it, it might not just be for her, the fact that she's denying everything. Now, it sounds like she just is denying everything. That's how she is. But like, I guess it also would hypothetically give Trump cover if he were to pardon her. Like, maybe she's hoping he can latch on to like, wow, hey, I just found out that she was totally railroaded here. And it also would be in Trump's interest to say there was no criminal activity that happened for Epstein ever. So
exactly.
Yeah, I guess
this person, she was totally railroaded here. And, she incidentally said I had no involvement whatsoever. And, let's pardon her. Nothing more there. I mean, I just think the Trump administration approach on this on the most part has been, there's nothing more there. Let it go. Let it go.
Yeah. Boy.
And that's the problem with her bringing up other sort of things. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, again, thanks so much. This is absolutely corrupt as shit, right? I mean, this is just fucking nuts, right? I mean, what how should we non-lawyers, non-defense attorneys even think about how corrupt this is?
As I say, I have no answer. It's just it's so far beyond what any sort of norm of any proffer. I mean, no proffer has ever happened like this in the history of time ever. There's no parallel to what is happening here in terms of the legal history of the Department of Justice and how they look at post-conviction cases. It's totally unprecedented. The positioning of Todd Blanche here as, Deputy AG conducting the proffer, none of the prosecutors who actually prosecuted the case being present. And we talked about this earlier. I looked this up. There was one prosecutor left. There's 4 prosecutors who prosecuted the case. There's one left standing at DOJ. They were not involved in this proffer.
Yep.
And it's levels of corruption. It's using our Department of Justice to engage in a PR campaign at best. I mean, that's even the most charitable interpretation.
I wish it was only
terrible.
PR. Yeah, it's
right.
terrible. Matt, do you hear us? Are you back? Are you? Oh, we see you. I don't know if you can hear us. Okay. Can you hear us? Are you? Well, we're trying to get closing thoughts, but I don't know what he's doing. So I think we might just I gotta go. We gotta sign off.
I guess no last word from Matt, but I'm sure the last word from Matt would have been good.
Yeah, maybe we'll get it later. Maybe we can postscript it. But Liz, thanks so much again for taking the time.
Always a pleasure to join you all.
It's great to see you, to not only hear from you, but see you. This was a lot of fun. So thanks so much, everybody, for watching. And just what can one say about how corrupt this is? We'll I don't know. See you soon, Liz. Thanks again. And sorry that Matt had the tech troubles. I'm sure we'll get Matt on the record some more later.
All right. Bye.
Okay, Matt. Well, you had the technical difficulties. I think we've got it figured out. Like, I think a different thing has gone wrong every week for you. And I think, and one of them, it turned out it might've been me actually. So last week, so I'll take credit for that, but I think we're getting it ironed out. We don't have like a huge AV team. It's just me, but I want to make sure we get your final thoughts, your closing thoughts that we weren't able to get in the video.
Yeah. Sorry to disappear on you guys, but I think we fixed all that and pushed my MacBook and my bladder to its limits in that recording. But both fixed. I just reflecting again on everything we've been talking about and listened to and thinking about that this entire exercise, the whole purpose of this is to get Maxwell a pardon, to get Ghislaine Maxwell a pardon.
And to get Trump, what he needs. Right.
Sure. Yeah. Just sort of to be able to have some statements he can point to. And as we've talked about, statements not only for the sort of the zeitgeist for the public, but also for this Wall Street Journal lawsuit and who knows what else. But we will see, and obviously we'll be closely watching this, but I'm just really wondering what they're actually going to say when they pardon her. I guess
Do you think
they're just going to have to, I don't know. I mean, she already, I will say, we didn't talk about this, but she got what she wanted to start with, which was transfer to lower security prison, which she never should have gotten as a convicted sex offender. She's not supposed to do that. I saw prison officials saying that's never happened before.
Wow.
There's no explanation. They just sent her there.
Everyone in prison should get treated how the 1% people like this get treated. But then when only the people like this get treated like that, it's hard to be like, well, obviously, I don't want prison to be a horrible, abusive place, but like, I also don't like the unfairness of, well, that's for the everybody else. These rich sex offenders get the special treatment. You know, it's kind of a weird place to be, but yeah, I mean, it's important to point that out.
I mean, to be fair, anybody can go on the record and do a proffer session where they just say nice things about the president. Just
they
call Todd
absolutely
Blanche.
cannot, as we've covered. This is the only time that's ever happened. Oh, yeah, I'm realizing when you were disconnected, there was something I said that I'm thinking it's kind of where your mind was too, based on what you just said, which is as much as this seems to be Ghislaine Maxwell, like she seems to be, you know, a true believer in herself, a true believer in her innocence, in my opinion. I mean, I think there's places where she knows she's lying, but I do think she probably thinks for the most part, you know, like she kind of got screwed over. And on one hand, it's like, okay, is that just her? Is that just how she's going to be? On the other hand, I was realizing, well, also, maybe that's also strategic because if her and her attorney are trying to come up with the best way to get a pardon, which is going to be her attorney's job, you know, fight for their client, the best way to play into what Trump needs and wants in order to get a pardon. Giving him some reason, and I'm realizing too, I'm connecting the dots. I think that also may be why she said that, hey, no one's talked to me before. I reached out, no one wanted to talk to me.
Yeah.
So that then Trump, if he wanted to pardon her, she gave him the ability to say, hey, turns out no one ever asked her, no one talked to her, and she's been set up. It's a whole setup, like if he wanted to. I think that's strategic. I think they're trying to give Trump sort of almost the press release that he would be able to put out to pardon her if he wanted. Now, I don't know that it's entirely going to be what he'd do, but I do think it seems to me that's a pretty strategic choice, an intentional choice.
Yeah, I had that thought too. And it does seem like, you know, just so long as they can have, I mean, it's so absurd to say it, but just they can go out in public and say, well, we finally heard her side of the story. We believe her.
Yeah, we just hadn't heard that side of the story.
Turns out she wasn't there at all. Who knew?
They had the wrong person.
But, you know, but they say, you know, you tell a lie enough times and you start to believe it yourself. And I've met plenty of people in prison who are doing time for things that I think you and I would both find to be pretty disgusting and that I think generally society would really not like. And you have to have an explanation. That is part of the deal, you know, especially for the people around you. So it's kind of what I heard when I heard her talking was her very practiced explanation of all of it. But it doesn't matter for Trump, like you said. If they can find a way to just say that this didn't need to happen and we can pardon her, then they can do that. You know, we'll see. And of course, her pending appeal, as we talked about, is not based on her innocence. It's based on the fact that she shouldn't have been prosecuted.
It's an interesting case. I mean,
they could just let that happen too. They could say they no longer oppose it and they're recommending that outcome.
I also think there's a certain extent to what I'm not sure what further thing she could give Trump. Like once Trump gets what he wants, why does he give a shit? You know, like I wonder if that transfer was already the thing that was kind of negotiated.
Yeah.
And there's nothing further to do. Like I don't think he's going to pardon her. I don't know.
It's been pretty well known that she's been pushing one for quite a while and really angling for it, but we'll see.
Yeah, I don't think he would.
You know, and just to close the loop kind of on the thinking about the blackmail and the intelligence stuff, you know, that this could be related. Again, I'm speculating, but I'm not the only person to speculate about this because she has said in the past that she had dirt, that she had recordings, that she had things she could use in the future as insurance. And that could be a factor. It's not impossible that it is known that there is stuff out there that could come out if she did not get what she wanted. I know that's going a little bit beyond the legal analysis we do on this show.
Yeah, the most conspiratorial version would be when she was saying, hey, I have the files that show that Trump has been screwed over. And Blanche opens it and it's just like the pictures of Trump actually
right.
in compromising situations. And she's like, yeah, he got a real raw deal, didn't he?
He just slowly closes the door.
But no, I don't know about that.
Yeah. But there is the idea, though, that if he was in any way tied to Mossad or CIA or anybody else, it was very high level kind of thing that they were allowing him to conduct his activities so that he would collect these things so they could have them. Who knows? Because again, remember Alex Acosta, who negotiated the terrible plea, did say that this was above his pay grade. He was the U.S. attorney of Florida at the time, and that he could not give basically a worse time for Jeffrey Epstein because he was connected to intelligence. And nobody's really explained what that means yet. So there will always be some interesting questions here.
Yeah.
We'll never know.
Fair. That's crazy. Well, this was, I'm not going to say fun, but vital. And we had a good time doing it just because
Yeah,
of
had
the
a good time.
company. It's
Sure.
it's so fun to be able to do this with you and with Liz. Like, seriously, it is an absolute privilege. I hope people enjoyed listening to it as much as I enjoyed doing it. And folks are going to get even more OA and Matt Cameron and Janessa Seymour for Rapid Response Friday. So what is this Christmas? Come early.
All's well that Maxwell. Here we go.